Hey Bestie, it's Lisa. Welcome or welcome back. In today's episode, I've got 76 summer DIYs for you. We're going to use the Dollar Tree garden stakes to craft. I love these things. They're so versatile. So here I've got one, and then I've got this like kind of key hanger type thing that I had at home that I wasn't really using anymore. And I think it's just because it's kind of plain. So I'm going to use my tin snips, and I got these on Amazon. They're an awesome tool. I love them. You can cut through so many things with them. Anyway, if you're interested, I usually have all my tools down in my Amazon store. I'm going to start cutting this apart, cutting off the stakes at the bottom until I get just two of the little sections together. And now I'm cutting off the part where they connect to each other, because obviously you can put this around a little garden bed. And so I've trimmed it up, and I'm going to make it even better, but right now I just want to make sure this is going to fit. Now I'm going to take some black zip ties, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this in about 4 different places to make sure it doesn't move at all. And then because it's black, and once I trim off the zip ties, you won't even notice them, and I'll trim them really small. Now here's the thing, I won't tighten this until I know I've got it in position, and then I will go back and tighten it, because if you tighten it and it's not right, it's just a pain. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the edges, and I'm going to add 2 more of those zip ties because I want to make sure this is just super, super secure. I think zip ties are a very underrated tool. I love them. So there we go. It's nice and secure now. You can see how this is going to look. And I'm just going to snip off those extra pieces. Now you could leave it just like this, and that would probably be just fine. But of course, I'm going to do more. So first thing, I'm going to put a little hanger on the back with some of my rope or twine, and then a little bit of hot glue, and then a very, very small piece of masking tape that you won't even see. I'm going to take some greenery. I got this greenery at Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off all the little pieces, and I'm just going to start placing it around those little points that are in that design. And I think that just looks super, super pretty. I didn't want to put the greenery down below where we're going to put things or hang things because it could get in the way. And now I've got these gorgeous purple flowers, and I'm just going to take off little flower petals or buds, whatever, I guess. Actually, just the flowers. I'm going to take them off and put them up on the top. I think this came out beautiful. I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so simple, but it's elegant, and it would go with so many different styles in your home. Let me know what you think. Gorgeous contact paper from the Dollar Tree, and this cute little lantern that lights up also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint the lantern with my plaster chalk paint by Waverly just to give it a nice clean background, because we're not going to put the contact paper over the entire thing. So now I'm going to cut out a piece of the contact paper that will fit in the sections where I want it to go. So I'm going to try to cut it as close as possible and then adhere it. I'm going to fold it in there so I can get a nice line and know exactly where to make the cut. So once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out that piece, and that gets me very close to the size that I need. And then I'm going to cut a second one so that I have more to use for this project. I'm going to remove the backing since it's such a small piece, and I'm going to go ahead and just put that on there, and I'm going to be wrapping it around. Now, it wouldn't make it quite all the way around, which is why I had to do 2 pieces, but I'm going to lay it as flat as possible, and then I'm going to take a sanding sponge, and I'm just going to cut off the edge by sanding around and getting a nice clean edge and just kind of going in a downward motion. Now, I didn't want to overlap. That's why I'm removing that excess right there. And then I'll take the other piece and start at a clean edge again. And then that way each of the edges will look nice and clean. So there we go, laying down the second piece there and smoothing it out. And then using the sandpaper to go ahead around the edges and get rid of the excess. So now you see it's on 3 sides, and I did sand on every one of those corners so it looks like they're all separate pieces. Now I'm going to use my Agave chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to paint the very top, and then I end up painting the front as well because I love this color so much. So I'm still glad I put the white down because that way you don't see the wood through the contact paper, and it makes the agave pop even more when you do that. So I'm going to also do the front. And I left a little white on the top as an accent. So cute. I love it. Now I'm going to take some Mod Podge and I'm just going to go over the whole thing. I'm going to take some greenery, and these are just some leftover picks that I have, probably from Dollar Tree. That's what I usually have. And I'm just going to put them on the inside just to give it a little more interest, which I think will be very pretty. And then, of course, it's got that light on the inside, which is going to be so cute. I love little light up things. Just makes them so versatile. So it's got a little tab in there. You pull it out, and then you twist the light on. And there you can see it. It's pretty light on my table, so you'll see it better in one of the pictures. Hopefully I got rid of some of the extra light. But there it is, all finished. I think it's adorable. I love these small little pieces for tier trays or for shelves. Just nice. I have a very small space I live, so I don't want to have too many things all over the place. What do you think of this one? Contact paper I'm using here I actually got from Amazon, so I wanted to include this because it's so gorgeous. Anyway, I think they've had ones like this at Dollar Tree. I just didn't have any. So I've got this cute little hanger piece that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the hanger, and I'm just going to sand down where the holes were, and I'm going to take this contact paper, and I'm just going to put it right over the top. So cute. I love this paper. It's so pretty. So then I'm going to cut another piece off just to get it closer to the actual size. I am going to paint this with my plaster chalk paint so that you don't see that black underneath. Sometimes you can see through these, contact paper, or even like the peel and stick wallpaper, you can see through them. So now I'm going to peel back one end of this, start at the very top, lay it down, and then slowly kind of press it down and remove the bottom as I go so I can get rid of any bubbles or wrinkles. Now, once I get all of that off, I'm going to take my brayer and I'm just going to roll it over the top, and that also really helps to flatten it out, make sure that it makes excellent contact with the piece underneath. And you can find that in my Amazon store if you are interested in using something like that. I love mine. I'm going to take some sandpaper and in a downward motion, go around the ends, cut off the excess, and then I'll have a nice clean edge, and I'll go all the way around. You can see that right there. Now I'm going to replace the little hanger, just going to feel for where the holes were, mark spots, and then I will go ahead and drill the nails in with my screwdriver and then replace it. Super easy. I've got these beautiful kind of lavender purple flowers. I'm just going to cut pieces of them off, and I'm just going to add them to this piece. I just wanted to dress it up a little bit, just putting some up in the top and then another little piece down towards the bottom. I just thought that would look so pretty just to add the florals. Again, you don't have to do this. It's optional. Add just greenery if you want, or don't add anything, whatever you like. You could also put something really cute right in the middle if you had like a little wood sign, or you could do a cricket type of a, saying or picture on there. Honestly, it's up to you. This is just inspiration, and I just love to give you that so that you can start thinking, what would you do? I'm going to add some more greenery because it was a lot of purple and I thought it needed a little more balance there. So I'm just going to take these extra picks that I have around and add them on, and I'm loving how this turned out. You'll have to let me know what you think. It was super easy, and it just looks so much nicer than it did originally, and it was just a Dollar Tree piece of wood and some contact paper. Let me know what you think. Got this vinyl from the Dollar Tree, but people could use it as contact paper. And I've got a candle from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take the wrapper off, and then I'm going to take, this is just a scrap. I've used this before, so I only had a little bit left. I'm going to use my Goo Gone and get rid of all the sticky stuff around the candle, and then I take rubbing alcohol to get rid of the greasy stuff from the Goo Gone, and that works really well. So now we've got a nice clean surface to work with. I'm going to take this vinyl contact paper, and I'm just going to cut some strips because I want 2 strips to use on this candle. So I'm going to make 2 pieces the exact same size, and I'm using my quilting cutting mat because it's got measurements on it. Makes it very easy to do that. So I'm just going to pull the backing off. I'm going to do the first one at the top, just below the very bevel top that it has, and I'm just going to go all the way around. And you have to be really careful. Whenever you do something round, it seems like it's hard to get it straight. So I did lift it up a few times and reposition it, but I finally got it on there and just made sure that was on there really, really well by smoothing it out with my hands. Then I'm going to flip it over into the bottom. I'm going to add the other piece and do the exact same thing until that is adhered all the way around. And again, if you have to lift it up and reposition it, that's what you got to do, and it's no big deal. Once I get to the end, I'll just put that down. I'll make sure I smooth it out, and I'm going to add some more of those little purple flowers to the very bottom there just to give it some interest and some greenery. I love doing that. You don't have to, but it just looked like it went with those flowers on the contact paper. I thought it was so pretty to add something kind of three-dimensional on there. This is so easy. You could do this with your kids or grandkids. I think this is just that kind of an easy, fun craft, and it's just very decorative. Just wanted to add one more flower in there. I just wanted to make sure that it was nice and full in that one spot. And then here comes the greenery picks that I'm going to add. Again, leftover picks that I had. I save all the little pieces just for things like this. And that way they don't go to waste, and I can really embellish things, and it looks so nice. Now, once the greenery is on, this one is done. So easy, such a quick project. It came together so fast. I'm really happy with it. I can think of so many different places this could go in my house. Even the bathroom. I think this would be really pretty in the bathroom. Anyway, you'll have to let me know what you think. And have you ever tried to dress up the Dollar Tree candles with contact paper? Got another garden stake, which I am going to cut again. So I just have the two pieces of the section. I'm also going to cut off the extra pieces on the ends. And I've got two silver or tin flower pots. Now you can get these at Dollar Tree. I think those two came from IKEA, but you could get them just about anywhere. Walmart has them. Wherever you find the best deal, that's where you should get them. I had these in my stash, so I'm going to use these. So now I'm just taking out the excess pieces of the garden stake that I do not need. And then I'm going to stand it up, and I've got the two pots, like I said, and what I'm going to do is I could drill holes in that, but I just wasn't in the mood to do that. But you certainly could, because then you could do zip ties. I'm going to take my rope that I have from Walmart, and I'm going to hot glue it around the bottom and the top of each of these pots. Now I did, pull it around and make sure I had enough, and I cut 4 pieces. And so what I'm going to do is then tie it on to the garden stake. See what I'm doing? So this becomes part of the decor, and it's functional in that it will attach itself to the garden stake. And I thought the look of this was really pretty. And so that way I have something that looks beautiful, but is also functional in terms of attaching it. So again, you can drill those holes and use a zip tie. No reason you can't. But this worked perfectly, just so you know, because I did do it in 2 places, so it's very, very secure. So I'm just going to knot it. I did both of them, and then I will cut off the excess on the back. I also did some hot glue underneath the knot before I cut off the excess, just to make sure that it was very secure. And I put a little over the top too, because I do like to do that. Now I'm using this inside. If you were using this outside, you might not want to do hot glue. You might want to do like E6000, something that will hold up in weather. This is going to sit in my house, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to add a hanger in case I do decide to hang it. Right now I'm using it on a shelf. It's just sitting there, but you never know. I might change my mind and want to hang it. So I use some rope and hot glue and some masking tape and put a hanger on. Now I'm going to put some plastic bags in just to kind of fill up the bottom, because I don't want to use all of my Spanish moss to do that. Actually, this is reindeer moss. And so I'm going to put some on top. Now, if this was for like fall or winter, I would probably use the Spanish moss, which is more brown. But since it's still summer right now, I'm just going to use the green moss. And now I'm going to cut up some lavender picks, and I'm just going to place them in there until I get a look that I like, some taller than others. And that's it. I think this one is stunning. I'm very happy with it. It might be my favorite today. I don't know. You'll have to let me know if it's yours. so easy. I've got a garden stake piece that only has 2 of the sections on it. I'm going to cut off all the extra pieces around the edge. And then I've got a metal napkin holder from the Dollar Tree. And I thought this would be such a pretty way to decorate a napkin holder. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one in half because I really only need the width of just one of those little pieces. So I'll go ahead and cut that with my tin snips, which I love for cutting these kinds of things. They're not hard to cut, but the tin snips just have a better blade than a pair of scissors. So that's why I do it. Plus the grip is easier to use. I'm going to take some plaster chalk paint from Waverly and I'm just going to brush over the top so it looks like it's distressed, but you can still kind of see the black peeking through. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the silver of the napkin holder because I don't think I want it to look silver. I just want to get rid of that shine. And so I'm going to go ahead and just put that paint all over it. Now I'm going to put a hanger. I'm not sure why I added a hanger because I don't really think we would hang this up, but you know what? I went ahead and did it anyway. That's just what I do. And so because I'm always worried I'll forget and I'll wish I did. So you don't have to add a hanger if you don't want to. I just did it. So there's my hanger with a little bit of rope, hot glue, and masking tape. And now I'm going to set the garden piece inside of the napkin holder, like up against the back of it. I'm going to take some zip ties. I'm going to use the white ones because I painted this white, and then I'll go over them with that paint just to kind of get rid of the color that they are and make it look like it blends in a little bit more. But you see how I set that inside there. So I got a position, tighten them, and then cut out the excess. And see there, I'm going to go back and just kind of put a little more paint over the zip ties just to kind of make it blend a little bit better. Once there's napkins in there, you won't even notice. That's the thing. So I've got this gorgeous flower, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it right at the top with the leaves still on it, just to give it a nice little color and just that pop. I love it. I love that pink. So beautiful. And then I add some extra Dollar Tree greenery that I had around the edges just to make it not so, the flower is rather big, and I want to make sure that the balance was there for the greenery. You can add as much or as little as you want. This is to personal preference. Again, just for inspiration, you can do different flowers, different things, different colors, whatever you want. There's really no right or wrong way. It's just based on your own decor and creativity, whatever makes you happy. And that's it. I love it. I think it's perfect for napkins. I guess you could put other things in it. You could put mail in it. I think I ended up deciding to use mine for mail. There it is. And I thought, that is so pretty. That way you could hang it on the wall. I think that's what convinced me to go ahead and put mail in it instead of napkins. But whatever you want. Easy DIY yarn hack from Dollar Tree. Got a little pot. I think the pot came from Walmart. And then I've got these little Pom Pom makers I found at the Dollar Tree. So it does come with instructions. So I'm not going to try to teach you how to use it because I was looking at the instructions the entire time. But once I figured it out, you open up the whole piece and then you just start wrapping around both of the yellow pieces like as many times as you want for as thick of a pom-pom as you want. So you just kind of hold down that first little section and then just start wrapping around. And that's what I did there. Like I said, it did take me a couple tries because I actually did something wrong the first 2 times. I don't know why. I thought the directions were pretty clear. I think it was just me. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I think I know how to do something that I don't, and then I just try. Anyway, it's got these slits in the top that you can use to tie the center. But first you have to cut the pieces of the pom-pom and while you're holding it together. So I went in with some very sharp scissors and I did that. And once I had the whole thing cut, which is both sides, then you can take your yarn and tie a knot around that center piece there. Now I have to tell you, after I used this, I decided that it was easier to make pom-poms with my hands. So you will see that in future DIYs. This just took longer than I wanted it to. Now, if you didn't feel comfortable making with your hand, then this is probably a great tool to buy. It's in the Crafter Square section, by the way. So I'm just going to knot that off. And then what you do is you open up the entire piece, like the whole thing just snaps apart. Well, you open the yellow pieces first, and then you pull the entire thing apart. See, there's your pom-pom. And then I just take it and I trim off any pieces that were sticking out so it looks pretty even all the way around. So it does work. It just wasn't as easy, I thought, as using my hands. So now I'm just going to make the 2 ends at the top where I originally tied it around very stiff so I can poke it through the hole in the bottom of this little flower pot. They have these mini flower pots at Walmart. I'm going to put some hot glue to hold it there because I want this pom-pom to hang down to a certain point. And then I'm going to make a couple of knots on the top. I'm also going to glue the pom-pom to the edge, and I'm going to take a bead and make a nose. And if you haven't figured it out, this is going to be a little gnome. So cute. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to take some flowers and greenery. I'm just going to put it over the top where the knot was because I want to cover that up. And just stick those little pieces up there. I think I do about 3 flowers, and then I add the greenery around it. I just wanted it to be very summery and cute, which I think it has turned out. Now imagine hanging these, doing 3 of them and hanging them at 3 different lengths together. That would be very cute. You definitely wouldn't want them knocking into each other because I think it could break for sure. So now I'm just putting individual leaves. I just want to make sure it's just all the gaps. It's just right there wherever I want them. There it is. I think it's adorable. It was actually very easy to make. Let me know what you think of this one. And here we have another Dollar Tree yarn DIY. I've got another one of those little pots from Amazon, and I've got 3 different colors of yarn, and I'm going to make pom-poms, but I'm going to use my hand to do it. I'm going to wrap around at least 30 times around that wide part of my hand. I'm going to pull it off, and then I'm going to tie right in the center with a piece of the yarn. Now this one I tried just to see how it would work, wrapping it around the center and then gluing it. Not my favorite way. So in the future, I'm definitely going to be tying instead of gluing. I just thought I had that extra piece. I would see how that worked. Now I'm going to cut open all of my loops on both sides. Now, once all the loops are opened up, you can fluff it and then start trimming it so you get rid of any excess pieces that are sticking out longer than the rest and make your pom-pom as big or small as you want. I made a second one. What we're going to do is we're going to turn these little pom-poms into cactus. So I'm going to put rocks in this pot, and then I'm going to start gluing this pom-pom in there. And this is going to be like a kind of a yarn cactus. And then my other little pot, I also put rocks in. And this one we're going to do cactus that blooms a little bit. So I did like a kind of a longer cactus, and then I'm going to wrap some orange around my hand again, but do a few less times around, tie off the center and trim off the excess. And I'm going to add those to the sides of that one, to the side of the first one. And then I'm going to take a kind of a yellow colored yarn. I'm going to make another one that's even smaller. So I only use fingers this time instead of my whole hand, and did the same thing and just set it in there. Now for the next one, I'm going to start layering that one pom-pom. I'm going to do a pom-pom on top of a pom-pom and then another one on top of that, because I want it to, you know how cactus kind of looks like it's got little sections, at least some of them do. So that's what I'm going to do, and just try to make this taller by doing that. And I make each one smaller by using, like, first was the hand, then was more fingers, and then it's less fingers. I hope that makes sense. And then once I get that one glued, instead of using it as a regular pom-pom, I'll kind of flatten the bottom. Now I'm going to take the yellow again, and I'm going to make a small pom-pom, but I'm going to tie it at the top like you would kind of a tassel. But because it's smaller, I'm just going to trim the ends and make it look like a little flower that's blooming. And I'll add one to the very top of the stacked cactus and one to the side, like it's blooming off the side. I don't know if you've ever seen cactus bloom, but they're really kind of cool. I'm not a fan of cactus normally, but I like the blooms. So you see how I'm just hot gluing that to the top, and then I'll put one more on the side. I think they actually turned out cute. This would be kind of a fun thing to do with kids, and I think that they would really enjoy it. But it's cute, and it was a great way to use some of the yarn that I've had in my stash for a while. What do you think about it? With Walmart stencils, I've got this beautiful stencil. It came 2 in the pack, and it was only $2.49, and that's not bad for how many times you can use it. It's totally reusable. I'm also going to use this little Dollar General mason jar sign and a bunch of different paint colors. So I'm going to start off with white, and I'm just going to paint over the top of that. It takes a couple coats to cover it. There it is. It looks very nice and clean now, which is what I wanted. Now I'm going to take this beautiful rose on here. Now I'm going to try showing you different stencil techniques. There's so many cool secrets for how to do stencils. I'm going to tape over anything I don't want to stencil that's near that rose, so the leaves around it. Just going to leave the flower petals open to be stenciled. I'm also going to tape on just so it's sticking on top of that. Now, first thing for this technique is I'm going to use Mod Podge and cover the whole area that I want to stencil and then make sure it's nice and dry. Then I'm going to take a stencil brush and I'm going to put a very little bit of this pink color, it's actually Ballet Slipper by Waverly, on my brush. I'm going to tap most of it off on my paper, and then in a circular motion, I'm going to go around and start dabbing. Takes many times to go over it, but by doing this, it gives you a nice clean edge. I've learned this the hard way. Stenciling has not always been something that I feel like I do as well as I should. And I'm just going to finish that one little piece right there that I missed. So now you see it's all covered, but I did it in many, many different takes going over it. Now I'm going to remove the stencil and look how nice and clean that looks. Now I'm going to put the stencil back on once it's dry, and I'm going to tape up the flower, and now I'm just going to do the Mod Podge over the leaves that I want to include in this. Then of course I will dry that off as well. Then I'm going to take my stenciling brush, put some of this fern colored Waverly chalk paint on it, wipe most of it off, and in that circular motion just start dabbing all over the leaves. Once I'm done, I'm going to remove the stencil. Now I got to tell you, for me, this is the best I've ever stenciled trying this technique. So I really think the Mod Podge is a great way to prevent bleeding. So I'm now going to cover the whole thing with some Mod Podge just to seal it in. I've got 3 different ribbons. One's from Dollar Tree, I believe. One is from another store that I can't remember, and then one might be from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to make like an awareness bow. I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of glue in the center to hold it in place. I'm going to tie off that center with some twine. And then what I'm going to do once I have it tied off, I'm going to kind of angle cut the edges. I'm going to put that pink ribbon around the center, just glue it on the back, just to give it a pretty little center. And then I'll cut off the excess. I'm going to take that beautiful ribbon from the Dollar Tree that's got all the holes in it. I'm going to cut 2 pieces. I'm going to cinch it in the middle and kind of overlap it so that what it's going to do is give it just this cute little feel of greenery. Now I'm going to lay it on the back of the ribbon, crisscross, and just pull twine that I had left over, tie it on nice and tight, and then I'm just going to hot glue it right to the very top of the mason jar. And I just think that is so pretty. I'm going to fluff my bow a little bit, make sure it's not got any wrinkles or crinkles in it, and that's it. This is so cute. It was so easy, and I love using the Mod Podge technique for stenciling. Let me know if you've ever tried it. DIY Stencil Craft. I'm going to take a really cute one of the stencils I got and this cute little glass jar from the Dollar Tree. And then I've got this Armor Etch. It's like an glass etching cream. So this is another technique that you can do with stencils. So I'm going to cut out the stencil that I want, and I'm going to tape it right onto the glass. Now you got to be careful because it's curvy. And so when I'm working with this, I'm going to like hold down the pieces that want to pop up. You'll see that in a minute here. But in the meantime, I'm just going to do a lot of taping and make sure this is as secure as possible. So there it is. Now I'm going to take my etching cream with a brush, and I'm just going to start dabbing it in the open parts of the stencil. I put a generous amount on there. Be very careful because it is like an acid. You don't want to get it on your hands. You could wear gloves. I was just being super careful. And then you let it dry for 3 minutes, or you let it sit there for 3 minutes. Then you take it to the sink and you wash it off. And there it is. You see, it's hard with my ring light in the background, but you can see the etching on it. So pretty. Now I'm going to take these little hibiscus flowers. I'm going to take just one of them off. I'm going to put some moss, some reindeer moss down in the bottom of this little glass jar. First, I'm going to glue the leaves to the flower because it was coming apart. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that moss in there. I needed a place for this flower to rest on, and then that's it. This was so, so easy. You could add some lights in there if you wanted to. I didn't choose to do that this time. I have a lot of things with lights, but I do think this was really pretty, and you could use that etching cream with any kind of stencil. I'm not sure how it would work with the silk transfer stencils. I'm not sure if it would eat away at that, but it was just fine with these reusable hard plastic stencils. So there you go. You'll have to let me know what you think. I think it's just a fun other way to use the stencils. Napkins, a book page, and then this Dollar Tree sign. Now, first thing I'm going to do is separate the plies on the napkin, and I usually put a piece of masking tape on the edge just to make sure I can grab it. Make sure it's 2 or 3 plies, that way you know how many layers to remove. Then I'm just going to iron the fabric, flatten it out, and cut out the book page and get rid of those edges. I'm going to paint the top of the sign white because I want to cover up the butterfly. Even though it's cute, I really don't need it for this particular project. So that's all done. I'm going to leave the sides because they were cute like shiplap, and I'm going to put Mod Podge over the whole thing just to seal it in. Before it dries, I'm going to set the book page right on there, and then I'll cut off the bottom edge so I get the same border around the whole thing. And so while it's wet, I can just easily set down that page and just kind of push it on lightly with my fingers. I didn't want to use the brayer, and I didn't have saran wrap handy to grab to put over the top. Now I'm going to fussy cut out this starfish and then also a seashell that's on the napkin. And once I get them cut off, I'm going to go ahead and, trim around them and make sure it's just those items that you see. You definitely need a sharp pair of scissors to do this, otherwise you could snag the napkin and rip it, because now that you've removed the plies, it is super, super thin. But this is a beautiful napkin and I love it. I'm going to take some Antique Wax by Waverly, and I'm going to go around and dry brush the edges and the sides and a little bit over the top. I just want to give it, a little bit of an older feel, and just putting a little bit on my brush, wiping most of it off and dragging it across. Now I am going to add more Mod Podge to the top because I'm going to be placing those pieces that I cut off. I'm going to take the straight edge sides and put them on the edge so it almost looks like it's going over the edge. And then I'll do the other one up in the corner. And then I'll also put another layer of Mod Podge over the top to seal it in and just make sure that everything's on there. I'm loving this look of the book page with the translucent kind of napkin over it. What a cool look. And it's so perfect for a coastal piece, or any piece actually, as long as you're going for something that's a little bit on the distressed side. I think it looks really, really good. I'm going to take some rope, and I get this particular rope at Walmart because they have the best price, and I'm going to put it all the way around the sides from the top to the bottom just to give it, again, more of that coastal feel. I love the way this turned out. Hey, if you're not already subscribed, I hope you'll do so because I'd love to see you in future videos. Anyway, I love this one. I'm so happy with how it turned out. You will have to let me know what you think. Look how pretty that is, seeing through the napkins to the book pages. Have you ever tried something like this? Let me know. This beautiful Anchor napkin. It is so cute. Anyway, what I'm going to do is remove the plies like I always do, and then I'm going to take this little crate from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use it and the starfish that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint the front of this crate and the little edges and middle parts with the white paint that I have. It's actually, you can use any white paint that you want. And then I'm going to cover it with some Mod Podge, and I'm using matte. You can use whichever kind you like. I'm going to dry that off because I'm going to show you a really cool technique for this. So once it's dry, I'm going to lay the one ply of the napkin and a piece of parchment paper over it. I'm going to use an iron, and I'm just going to iron over that, and it's going to adhere perfectly to the wood. I love that. And then I'll take a little piece of sandpaper and just in a downward motion go around the edges and get rid of any of the excess napkin. And it really does clean it up. Hey, if you're not already on Pinterest, or even if you are, come join me. I started posting every day, and I can't wait to see you over there. I've got a link down in my description box for you. All right, so now I'm just going to finish getting those edges off, and then I'm going to take a sharp blade and go in and get the remaining pieces that are in between the little slats on the mini crate piece. Just take your time, just go in and make sure the blade's very sharp, and just very quickly it'll just come off. You can also use sandpaper to get any rough edges if you want, but make sure it's dry when you do that. Now once I'm done, I'm going to add another layer of Mod Podge over the top because I just want to seal it in, and then any little ripped edges will be nice and smooth when you do that. Just a good way to finish it off and seal it. Now I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm just going to put the starfish on the left side there, kind of cover up that little portion of an anchor that I'm not going to be able to see really anyway. And I just thought, you know what, that's a perfect spot for it because I didn't want to cover up the good anchor. And then I'm going to take some greenery. I found this greenery at the Dollar Tree, and it actually has a little bit of a seaweed look. So I'm just going to cut off some pieces, put them in there just around the star, just around the starfish. And that's it for this one. It is so cute. I think it would be adorable. Now, if you had like 4 of these, you could actually turn these into coasters. But I left the twine hanger on there because I thought it would also be cute to hang up. But you know what? That's a personal choice. Do whatever you think fits with your decor or just your space. I'll just finish adding that greenery on there, and there's the finished piece. I think it's so cute. I really love how it turned out. Let me know what you think, and have you decoupaged onto something with slats before? Got this beautiful kind of mermaid napkin, and then I've got an empty conditioner canister that I had. And I'm just going to pull off the label. It came out very easily. I'm going to take some masking tape and remove the extra ply here. Makes it so much easier. Now, I did struggle a little bit with this one because I ripped it, but if you don't, it comes out very nice and easy. Just take your time so the whole napkin doesn't rip. Now I'm just going to cut off the portion with the design on it because that's all I really want for this one. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to paint it directly onto the conditioner bottle. And I'm going to line up the napkin, and I'm just going to put it on. Now, it happened to be just the perfect size. Otherwise, I would have had to trim it down or layer it. And I'm just going to do it in little sections because I don't want it to wrinkle or bubble. So I'm just going to very carefully do a little bit at a time and go all the way around the container. When I get to the end, I'm just going to cut off the excess. Now I'm just going to add some more Mod Podge and make sure that where the 2 pieces meet, it's very secure. And I'm actually going to put Mod Podge around the entire thing just to seal it. Now I'm just going to take a blade and go around the top and just carefully make sure that I can get any excess off. I went very slow. The napkin is just so fragile. You just have to be super careful. And I didn't want to sand this because it's plastic, and I thought it would show the little scuff marks. So there it is. Now I'm going to paint that top in some white chalk paint because I just didn't like the way it looked just with the clear kind of plastic. It's not really clear actually, but sort of clear plastic. So I went ahead and did that, and then I sealed that as well. Now I've got these pop-up stickers from the Dollar Tree. I haven't used these for a while, but I do love them. They had 2 different sizes, so this is the larger of the 2 sizes. And I'm just going to put them around the top for decoration. So I'm going to do like a clock. If I do it that way, then I can always fill in the gaps between, and it comes out even. If I try placing them next to each other, I never get it right. So this, to me, is the best way to make sure you place them and space them evenly. There were little like water bubbles on the side, so I took the smaller version of those little pop-up stickers and I attached those with hot glue to wherever there was a little bubble. Just give it a little 3D feel. I thought this would be really cute for a soap container in the bathroom. It's just adorable, and it was super easy, and it's a great way to not waste something or throw it into the landfill if that's something that matters to you. You have to let me know what you think of this one. adorable. More beach, less worry napkin. I love it. And then I found these soaps at TJ Maxx. It was like 5 or 6 of them for, I think, $3.99. I thought that was a really good price, especially for using them for like crafting. So I'm just going to cut up the napkin after I remove the plies the same way I usually do with the masking tape. And I'm going to cut out a turtle. I love these turtles. They're so cute. So once I get it cut, I'm going to fussy cut around all of the pieces, around the edges of the turtle very carefully. Find when I fussy cut, it's better to turn the paper or whatever I'm cutting than the scissors. It actually helps you not accidentally cut something off. And I'm not saying I've never done that, but I try not to. And by moving the paper or the item you're cutting, it really does help minimize that issue. So just a little tip if you didn't already know that. So now that I've got the turtle cut out, I'm going to take one of the bars of soap, and I did decide to use the green one. I thought that would look really pretty. There was just a couple of different shades in here of purple and green. So I removed the plastic, and I'm just going to place the turtle on top of it. And I'm going to use my iron to kind of melt the soap a little bit and then make the turtle stay, at least initially. I will cover it with Mod Podge afterwards. This won't be a bar of soap that we'll use. It'll be decorative and it smells really nice, and you can just set it in your bathroom with other decorative things, and I love the way it smells. So there it is, and I didn't get the sides very well. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the Mod Podge to push that down. And I'm using matte. I don't want this shiny or anything. And I'll just make sure I get a little bit under those pieces that stuck up a little and over the top of all of it. I just thought it was so cute, and you could use any shape soap that you want. I had a couple bubbles, so I took a little blade and just kind of popped them and then laid it back down with some more Mod Podge, and that really did the trick. To dry the whole thing off. That'll also help it adhere a little bit more, especially if it melts the soap without really making it look melted. But there it is. I think it's adorable. It was so easy and so cute. If you were going to put some soaps in a gift basket or something, this would be a fun way to kind of dress them up. Have you ever attached anything to a bar of soap before? Let me know what you think about this one. Working with glass, whether it's Dollar Tree or just stuff you have around the house. You're going to get started with this DIY. I've got 3 different colors of paint, and I've got a black marker, and then of course this glass jar, and this one just happens to be something I had around the house. I'm going to start off by just drawing some squiggly lines. This is going to be like where ice cream is kind of dripping down from an ice cream cone. We're going to make the cutest little ice cream little canister thing. Anyway, I'm going to take my ballet slipper pink by Waverly, and I'm just going to do that top portion above the squiggly lines, and then we'll do 2 coats of that. Isn't that cute? Then I'm going to take another color of Waverly chalk paint, which is hazelnut, and I'm going to paint the bottom, and that's going to be where the cone for the ice cream is. And again, it takes several coats to get that nice and solid. And I just went very slow around those lines. I'm going to reinforce the line later, so don't worry about that. And once it dries, I'm going to take this black furniture marker. I just like this one because the tip was the right thickness. And I'm just going to go around those squiggly lines and reinforce them just to outline them. It's kind of a cartoonish ice cream look, if you will. And I'll go around the entire thing and just reinforce those lines. Now I'm going to make some squiggles here and there above. So like there's other drips, above the line of the cone, if you will. And I just did about 3 or 4 of those around, whatever you think looks good. Now I'm going to take some more fine point markers of bright, primary colors, and I'm going to make little sprinkles all around. I'm going to do that with several different colors. I think that's going to be so cute just to have those little sprinkles on there. If you don't like sprinkles on there, you don't have to do that. It was just something I thought was super cute to do. And there they are. Now I'm going to take some white wax by Waverly and just very lightly make the cross marks of the cone, like a waffle cone. And you can go lighter than I did, you can go darker, whatever you want. I just wanted it noticeable. So there they all are. I love the way that looks. And then I've got this little pom-pom ribbon I got for like 94 cents at Hobby Lobby. When they have ribbon on clearance, it's a good deal. And I'm just going to glue that all the way around kind of the brim of the jar. And it almost looks like there's maybe a little bit of whipped cream or something like that on there. That's what I was going for. And then I'll just do a second row, just to keep that, look going. And when I'm done, I'll just snip it off and hot glue it down. This is such an easy DIY. I absolutely love it. I think this would be really fun to do with kids or grandkids, or even to make as a cute gift for the summer. I'm also going to add some matte finish, polyacrylic spray over the top to seal it. And I just love it. Let me know what you think. For this glass DIY, I've got another jam jar that I had at home and some sticks that my husband was kind enough to get from the yard. And then I've got this Fawn Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to cover the whole thing with the fawn. I didn't even have to take the label off because you won't see it. I just wanted to have that color underneath for any small gaps. Now I got this pipe cleaner that I cut to the size that I needed for the, height of the jar. And I'm going to use my miter shears, awesome tool for things like this. I got that at Amazon if you're looking for one. Anyway, and this is going to be how I cut them all to size. Now, some of them ended up being a little bit long because, I don't do things very even sometimes. But anyway, we were able to fix that later. I'm just going to hot glue them side by side all the way around the jar. This is such a cool look, especially if you like woodland decor or natural, neutral looking decor. This would be perfect for that. So there they are, and you can see there's a couple that are too tall. So I'm just gonna take my nippers and I'm gonna cut that top off. And a couple of them came off when I did that, which actually made it easier because then I could just cut it super fast. And then I just glued it right back on, no problem. If I had been more careful with my measuring, of course, this wouldn't have happened, but I tend to move very fast and am impatient. If you know me, you know that already. Anyway, we'll just put that back in there. It only took a couple seconds, and that was that. And I thought it looked so cute, especially once I got them all even. And there they are. They look much better. I've got this beautiful lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put it around the brim of the jar there, and that way it'll be between the sticks and the jar, and it'll kind of cover up any of that gap. And I thought it just was a nice way to finish off the top, and I just used hot glue to put that on there very carefully, and it was actually very easy to do, just so long as I didn't get glue on other things. But with those glue webs, it's so hard. It's just the bane of my existence as a crafter. Anyone else, let me know if you have that same problem. I've tried all the techniques. For some reason, it's still an issue. It must be me, how much glue I'm letting out of the gun. I'm not sure. But anyway, I think that's what it is. And I'm just going to trim that piece off and glue down the end. And honestly, that's all there was to this one. It was so easy. It is so cute. You could do this with the kiddos or grandkids. And look how pretty it is with the lavender in it. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree glass DIY, I've got this beautiful vase from the Dollar Tree and my Lagoon colored Waverly chalk paint. It's a beautiful color, just perfect for summer. Actually, anytime if you like the color. I'm just going to remove the sticker, and of course, if there's any stickiness left, I'll use some Goo Gone to get that off of there. Now I'm going to paint the entire vase, and I'm just going to do 2 coats, and it really, really does come out very, very nice. Did you know that I am posting daily on Pinterest now? Be sure to come on over and visit me and see what I've got out there. Also, the link is down in the description box below. Okay, now that it's dry, I'm going to take this beautiful gold sticker that I got from the Dollar Tree. I have used all of them but one, so I was saving it for something special, and that is this vase. So I'm going to put this on the vase. I just think this is going to be so beautiful. The contrast between the gold and the Lagoon color is beautiful. It's just so bright and cheery, and it's perfect for spring, summer, actually just whenever, depending on your decor. I love the way it looks. I love the bright colors. So, so pretty. I've got this white and gold twine. I got this at Target a long time ago. And I'm just going to wrap it around the very, very top of this vase and just, kind of give it like a finished look. And the gold, of course, goes perfectly with the butterfly sticker. And I'll just glue it here and there to make sure that it stays down. It doesn't require much. Once I have as much as I need on there, I'm just going to glue it on and cut off any excess. What a beautiful piece. I love it. You could put all kinds of different colored florals in there, anything that you want. I absolutely love this one. It kind of fits in, with different decor styles. Also, I'm going to spray it with some matte finish, Krylon clear spray, and that way it'll be nice and sealed. And I think it's just beautiful. You'll have to let me know what you think. Oh, and so easy too. For this Dollar Tree glass hack, I've got this large drinking glass. I had already painted the inside black for a different DIY, and then I took that apart and I'm going to use it again. I've also got moss, fern, and lacquer Waverly chalk paint and some black chalkboard paint. I'm just going to tape down the glass while I start to paint one side so it doesn't move around. That didn't actually work very well for this because it was too heavy. So what I recommend is just put your hand inside the glass and then hold it while you paint it. So I'm going to take the lacquer and I'm going to paint just more than half of this glass. And it takes several coats to get a really nice, clean look. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to take the darker of the two green paints that I have, and I'm going to paint the bottom. I'm just going to go carefully around that line. I could have taped it, but I decided I could be careful, so I did. And now I'm going to take the other color of the green, and what I'm going to do, and that's the moss. The first one was fern. And I'm just going to put the stripes like a watermelon would have. If you haven't figured it out, this is going to be a cute little watermelon glass. And I'm just going to go, make those stripes all the way around the bottom until they look the way I want them to. This is very easy to do. And you don't have to be an artist or anything like that. Even if it doesn't come out perfect, I think everybody will know it's a watermelon, and that's okay. This is for fun. It's just to have a good time. Unless you're selling these things, they don't have to be perfect. It's homemade, and that's the charm. So no worries there. So there it is. All the bottom is done now. I'm going to take a black furniture marker because I like the end of the point of that marker. And I'm just going to make a few seeds here and there around the bottom. In the past, when I've done watermelon DIYs, I have been known to put way too many seeds. So I was very careful this time, and I was just putting them here and there very randomly. And I'm very proud of myself. I tend to go overboard on things like that. So anyway, if you're the same way, then you understand. And if you're not, well, good. You don't have to worry about it. And there's that. I also painted some more red on the inside to cover up some of that black. Now I'm going to take some very thin twine. I'm just going to go across that line between the red and the green. And no, you don't have to do this. I just wanted it to have a little bit more of a finished look. And so I'm just going to put that all the way around and then cut off the end when I get there. And then I decided to do one at the very top. Again, I was going for a little bit more of a finished look because this is going to end up being a vase. And I mean, you can use it for anything you want, but I decided to use it as a vase. And I just like that look of kind of defining the areas. Again, totally optional. You never have to do the things I do. This is just for inspiration. And I'm going to spray some matte finish over the top that's clear just to seal it in. And there it is. And I just put greenery, no colored flowers. And I thought that looked so nice. What do you think? Foam board from the Dollar Tree. I've also got some rope. I'm going to cut out the shape of this rectangle. That's just my little cutting mat. And I'm going to use a blade to do that. And then I've got some peel and stick wallpaper that I ordered from Amazon. It's really pretty. It's that kind of distressed shiplap look. And I'm just going to cut out a piece that fits over that foam board that I cut out. I'm going to start at one end and just line that up over the edge because I want to wrap it around a little bit. And then slowly I'll pull the bottom out and smooth it. I'm also going to fix the end there and make sure it lays nice and flat. And so you see how I'm pulling it while I smooth it? For me, I found that's the best way to avoid wrinkles and bubbles. It doesn't mean you never get them. It just gives me a fighting chance, which, trust me, I need that. Anyway, now I'm just going to fix that onto the back and make sure that it's nice and flat. Doesn't that look nice? I'm going to use my brayer and smooth it out. Then I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to put this large rope all the way around with the hot glue and just cut off the end. I'm going to add a hanger to the back using the metal piece from a clothespin and a little bit of masking tape and hot glue, and that should do the trick. Now I'm going to draw what looks like a mason jar. Now I'm not saying I can draw a mason jar. I was looking at one, but I kind of made it lopsided. I'm going to try to fix that later with some of this twine. So I'm going to line the outside with twine with some hot glue. I'm going to go all the way around the entire thing. That's when it becomes more noticeable that it was lopsided. But before I fix it, I'm going to put some beautiful florals. I think some of these are from Dollar Tree, some are from Walmart. Just going to put them over the top of that twine on the top because I want it to look like it's floating on the inside of the mason jar. I've done something similar to this once using a piece of wood instead of foam board. So I wanted to do it with foam board to show you that you don't always have to have wood around to create something. And this is a very economical way to do it because you get more than one thing out of a large foam board. Now I'm going to try to create an illusion that this isn't lopsided by adding a little more twine on the side that was further in and then a little bit on the inside of the side that was sticking out. I don't know if that did the trick, but it was worth a shot. I'm going to take this beautiful lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to put one row of it across. I also put some more of the twine over the flowers to look like the ridges or threads of the mason jar. I made a quick little awareness bow, just kind of tack that together with some hot glue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the edges at an angle. I'm going to add another small piece of lace into the middle to give it a pretty center so that it looks finished off just by hot gluing that to the back. And then it looks like, a perfectly folded bow. I'm going to hot glue that right to the front of the mason jar. And that's it. Isn't that pretty? I think it's gorgeous. And I love the one I did before, so I thought this would be fun to do another one. And of course, you get better every time you do it. Hope you like it. Welcome sign, we're going to take a piece of the foam core board and this round wooden sign from the Dollar Tree, which I'm just going to use to get my circle shape. And I'll cut that out with my rotary cutter. I'm going to put a piece of tape, not quite in the middle, because I want to section it off, and I'm going to use my Waverly Ocean colored paint. It's a beautiful blue. And I'm going to paint down away from the tape and then just paint the rest of that whole bottom piece. Took about 2 coats. And the best part, taking the tape off. Look at that. Who doesn't love that? Now I've got this removable wallpaper from Amazon, and there's a link to my Amazon store down in the description box where you'll find most of my favorite things that I get there, in case you need them too. And I'm just going to pull the backing off a little bit on one end, fold it under, and then take the sticky part and line it up, and then slowly pull underneath to remove the backing. And then I'll get my brayer and I'll start smoothing it out. And that way there won't be any bubbles or wrinkles. And this really makes it nice and easy. You just do a little bit at a time. I saw this beautiful welcome sign on Pinterest and I thought I could do something very similar by using the foam core board. Now there's excess going around on purpose, and I'm just going to cut little snips and then fold them over the back because that's the best way to do it without getting weird little points. And then I had this coastal twine from the Dollar Tree. It's like white and twine colored. And I just wrapped it around several times where the blue meets the wallpaper and up at the top. And I've got this metal welcome sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put my Aleene's tacky glue on the back. And then I'm going to set that over the blue portion. And I love the way that just pops. I am going to wipe off all that excess glue. It does dry clear, but I don't want it to dull the shine on the welcome sign. And then I've got some beautiful florals from the Dollar Tree, and I just took some blue ones and yellow ones and the leaves that go with them, and I cut off the little ends and I hot glued them together and then positioned them just the way I want. You could do this any way that you want, whatever you like.
But smile, do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up.
You could get several signs out of one piece of the foam core board. So you actually can beat the Dollar Tree price by making, let's say, 3 signs out of one. So that's only $1.25 instead of buying 3 wooden rounds. So that's a great way to save money and get more out of it.
Favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but
And when I wrapped that twine around, I left a little bit in the back to make a hanger, and that's it. I hope you guys like this one. Let me know.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time.
Gorgeous Dollar Tree fabric. It looks like coral. And then I've got this All You Need Is Love sign, also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my heavy duty staple remover that I got on Amazon to remove those big staples that are such a pain. And this makes it so easy to get rid of them. I'm also going to use it to remove the greenery on there that's on the bottom because there was another staple there. And I'm also going to cut the little ribbon they have there so I can release that greenery because I need to work with the sign before I can put it back. I'm going to sand down where I pulled the staples out just so it's nice and smooth. So this is a technique, I haven't done it for a long time, so I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to do it again. You cover the area that you want to adhere something to with Mod Podge and you let it dry. So I only want to do that outer circle on this sign. So now the Mod Podge is all dry. So then I'm going to take my Dollar Tree fabric and I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece that will fit the exterior of this sign. And it's okay that it's bigger, obviously, because we'll trim it once we have it adhered. I'm going to go ahead and iron that first just so that it'll lay nice and flat. Then I'm going to lay the fabric over the top and I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper and I'm only going to iron over the part that had the Mod Podge that is dry now. And this will make it stick perfectly. It's such a great technique. You can do this with paper, napkins, whatever you want. You don't have to use wet Mod Podge if you don't want to deal with all that stickiness. So now I'm just going to cut off the excess. I'll start off using my rotary cutter and then I'll end up going in with a little bit of a more flexible, finer blade to get the fine pieces out of there. But it's super easy to do. You just go around the edges and then go into those center portions. So you'll see here I'm cutting off, the inside edge there. And then I'll show you when I turn it over how I'm going to get the parts that weren't open. So here we go. So you see that area where it's not open? I'm just going to continue that circle very carefully around to the next piece I had already cut. And there you go. It's super easy. Just take your time and this won't be hard to do at all. Now I'm going to take the Mod Podge and cover this all the way around because I do like to seal it in. Isn't that so pretty? The color of that fabric is gorgeous. Now I'm going to put the hanger back and I'm just going to, take the twine, put it on with glue and a little bit of tape like I always do. Then I'm going to hot glue the greenery back on, but I'm going to add some little pink flowers and some other greenery just to make it a little bit prettier. I mean, it was so basic before, but I wanted to add something and I love how it turned out. I love the vibrant color and I love what it says and I just love it. I hope you like it too. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree fabric hack, I'm going to take these 3 rings, the brass rings that the Dollar Tree has, and then I've got this cute sailboat fabric, I've got these sand dollars, and then I've got some deco mesh from Dollar Tree that I thought was really pretty and goes with this. So there's my piece of fabric. I'm going to cut a teeny spot and then rip, and that's the best way to get those nice frayed edges. So I'm actually going to do 2 of those. Rip's so easy when you do that. I'm going to tie the 3 rings together and then put a dab of hot glue up there to just kind of hold it in place. And I'm doing this because I don't want them to move around. And because I've got that piece of twine there, I can turn that into a hanger as well, which is just perfect. So as long as you got a long enough piece, you can do that. And then I always add a little bit of hot glue just to secure my knots. I don't know why I do that. I guess it's a trust issue. Anyway, now I'm going to take the strips. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do a strip going down that center area. And I'm just going to hot glue it on there and secure it on all the little spots where the rings are to make sure that it won't move around at all. And I'll kind of create a little hem on the bottom there with the glue. And then I'll just make sure that it's attached nicely to the back there. Once that's done, I'm going to do 2 more on the sides, which you'll see here in just a minute. I'm going to do it the exact same way. Then I'm going to take the deco mesh and I'm going to cut several pieces. They'll all be the same length. And I'm going to use this to make a bow. And I know those edges of the deco mesh are kind of weird and they can ravel, but I'm just going to let it be. I'm also going to cut a piece of this red and white fabric from the Dollar Tree by cutting a slit and ripping it also. But I do need to cut it down. It was a little bit too long for what I wanted. So I'm going to crisscross the deco mesh pieces that I cut, and then I'm going to cinch it in the middle and tie it with some twine. And then I can fluff the sides of the bow any way that I want because it's pretty flexible. Then I'm going to take the red and white fabric and I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm just going to crisscross them, cinch it in the middle, and I'm going to add it to the center of that other one and use the twine that was left over on the edges and just tie that on as well. And I will cut off the excess of the twine. Then I'm going to hot glue that bow right to the top where the knot is, where it's holding the 3 rings together, and I'm going to hot glue the sand dollar in the middle. I am going to dovetail the ends of the fabric pieces because I think that will look really nice. So just fold them in half and cut an inverted triangle, and that gives us our tuxedo tails or dovetails. There goes the sand dollar right in the center. And then I'm going to add some greenery. I'm just going to take some little pieces, and then you can use any greenery you like. I got this on Amazon, and I'm just going to hot glue the little ends onto each of the fabric pieces just to add some greenery down there. I just felt like it needed something. Of course, that's optional. If you don't like it, don't do it. Nobody has to do it the way I do it. This is just for inspiration, and I hope that you come up with ways that you even love more. But that's it for this one. Just a kind of fun coastal wreath, something a little different, but I liked it. I like trying new things and, just seeing what you can make with what you have at home. For this Dollar Tree fabric DIY hack, I've got 2 different fabrics, one with anchors and the red and white fabric. And I printed out this anchor. I had to sand quite a bit to get that glitter and the raised up, portion of that off. And then I'm going to cover this with several coats of the plaster chalk paint by Waverly. I love the little shiplap on it, but I wasn't going to be able to cover up the rest very easily. So got that all done, and then I'm just going to lightly sand so that there's no rough spots on it, very lightly. I don't want the paint to actually come off. I'm going to cut out this anchor, and it took a few minutes, but that's okay because that's what we need to create this piece. I'm going to put the anchor on the back of the anchor fabric and cut around it. I'm also going to iron the fabric. There's the red and white fabric, just getting that ready to go. We're going to make a smaller version and a larger version. So here I am pinning that on so it doesn't move around. And what I'm going to do is take a little marker, a fine tip marker, and I'm going to trace around. This is on the back side of the fabric. And I did check and it did not bleed through to the front. So make sure you have the kind that won't bleed. So there it is, all traced. I'm going to do the same thing with the red and white, but I'm going to trace around it a little bit larger. I cut them both out, and what we're going to do is put down the red and white one first and then the anchor one on top of it so it's layered. So I'm going to use Mod Podge to go ahead and lay that over the entire wood round, and then I will lay down first the red and white one, which is the larger one, and I'll make sure it's positioned and smooth right down on the surface. This is so pretty. It's patriotic, but it's also coastal, so you could use it whenever you want. I'm going to lay down Mod Podge just over the fabric, and then I'm going to put the second anchor on there that's smaller, and that way you can see the red peeking through, and then the blue and white anchors on the top. I love this fabric. I think it's gorgeous. I'm going to cover the whole thing with some more Mod Podge to seal it in. Then I'm going to take the Waverly Ocean Chalk Paint. I'm going to paint those beads. I took them off, and now I'm just going to add them right back on to the back. So I'll just put it through the holes, and then I will use hot glue and masking tape on the back like I usually do when I put hangers on. Felt like it needed another pop of color up there. Otherwise, it was just that plain wood, which I don't mind sometimes, but this time I felt like I wanted it to have color. And now I thought, okay, let's add a little bit of greenery. You don't have to. If this is just the way you want it, you absolutely don't have to. But I decided to just put some down at the very bottom, where it's even. Whatever I do on one side, I do on the other. And I just love greenery on things. I think it makes it look so pretty. and it kind of gives it a lifelike feel. Now I'm going to take a seashell from Dollar Tree. I'm going to put it right in the center to cover up the edges, and that is it. It was so easy, so fun. The hardest part is cutting out the anchor, and that's not hard. It just took a few minutes, put on a video, and there you go. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree fabric DIY hack, I've got this beautiful tag that's got coral on it and it's got like cork board. I love that. I'm going to use the sand dollar and the seahorse fabric, which is so cute. I'm going to cut a little slit and rip a piece or two from that. I probably took more than I needed because when it came down to it, I just didn't use that much. So what I end up doing is cutting it in half, and just keep cutting it until the size that I wanted. And I'm going to take 4 pieces and just kind of crisscross them. Then I'm going to take the deco mesh and I'm going to cut several pieces, and I'm just going to cinch it and create like little bows. Now I'm going to show you this one is a little different. So I'm going to fold the end over and then kind of squish it together and then turn it around and fold the other end over. I'm trying to get rid of those edges that fray. And it works better this way than the way I did it before, but you know what? It's still a little bit got the edges, but I'm okay with that. I just wanted that cute little bow look. So what I did was I tied that one on and then I added 3 more. And so I just keep adding them and crisscrossing them, and it ends up looking like such a cute bow. And it's very poofy, and I like that. So now we're going to put some glue, turn it over, and add it to the upper right-hand side. Then I'm going to crisscross my little seahorse fabric pieces, and I'm just going to put some twine around it, tie that off, and I'm going to glue that to the very center of the deco mesh. Now I am going to add a few more pieces, but it was so thick I had to like do them a couple pieces at a time. So I'm just tying those onto the back, and then I'm just going to fluff it up so that you can see all the little seahorses, and I will hot glue that right to the center of the bow. I love that little pop of color, and I'm going to add this really pretty orange seashell from Dollar Tree right to the center. And then I've got some greenery pieces that I'm just going to glue and kind of stick around the outside of the bow. Just going to do 4 of them. It's optional, of course. You could add less, you could add more. You don't have to put it in at all. I just love that greenery look. I think it's so pretty. And this would be such a cute place to, hang your reminders or whatever. Just, a little mini bulletin board, especially if you like coastal decor, which I do in my bedroom. Anyway, this turned out adorable. It was very quick and easy to make. I mean, it took no time at all. And look how beautiful it is. Let me know what you think. DIY hack. I'm just going to take a round bamboo ring. You could actually use a wreath form, whatever you want that's round, as long as it will fit a clothespin on it. The metal fish decor and some sand dollars and starfish and a seashell, all from Dollar Tree, and then nautical rope, that's the white color. I've also got some seashells from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use plaster and peacock Waverly chalk paint. Now I'm going to take each of, these are the larger clothespins, by the way. I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them all the way around the ring. And I didn't finish it because I want to leave a spot for the fish. You could go all the way around, but it's easier to attach the fish if you don't. I'm going to take the peacock paint. I'm going to paint all over except for the back of these clothespins. And you could use any size clothespins you want. I just happened to have some big ones I wanted to use. I decided to go with the silverfish instead because I actually think it looks better. I'm just going to hot glue down the little hanger because we don't need that. I'm going to cut a couple pieces of twine. I'm going to hot glue them to the inside of the fish in the center. You'll see what I'm going to do here in just a moment. And then I will be able to tie it on to this wreath. I wanted to have a nice way to secure it, and I'm also going to put some tape over that twine to hold it in place even more so. Now I'm going to turn the wreath over and I'm going to position the fish right where I want it. And then I will pull that twine through and tie it in the back in a knot and then trim off the edges. And that's just going to hold this very nicely in place for us. You could also use pipe cleaners if you want. I just didn't have them right on my craft table and I had this twine, so I just grabbed it. But anything that would work would be just fine. And then I'm going to add some hot glue over the knots because I just like to do a little extra security there to make sure it stays in place. Now I'm going to add a hanger while I'm here. Now I'm going to take this 3-cord nautical rope and I'm going to make it a 2-cord rope. It was just a little too thick. So there you go. I'm going to hot glue the ends so that they don't fray and it's just a little easier to work with. I'm going to start at one end and I'm going to do like swirls up and down, kind of like every other clothespin. You'll see just here in a moment how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that all the way around till I get to the other side of the fish. I love the way that looks, so nautical, so coastal. I'm just going to attach the end, tuck it under the clothespin. Now I'm going to take the little starfish and I'm going to add some hot glue and I'm just going to put that on that kind of bottom right area next to the fish there. And I'm just looking at where it's going to touch and that's where I put the glue. Otherwise, there's no putting extra glue. And then I'm going to add seashells kind of in those little loops, but like alternating up and down, except for the one seashell that's longer. And I think this turned out gorgeous. What an easy, beautiful coastal wreath. How fun is this using clothespins? Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree clothespin DIY hack, this is just the littler clothespins, and I'm going to be creating a little planter box. So I figured out a rectangle shape and then the longer side and the shorter side. And what I'm going to do is just literally hot glue these clothespins together side by side like this. Now you could glue them together without the metal piece, but I didn't mind having the metal. I didn't think it really mattered, and it went a lot faster if I left the metal on there. So you can do it any way you want. Honestly, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So I'm going to glue all these sections together. And then I'm going to go back over and kind of reinforce on the inside by adding some more hot glue. And I'll do that with all of these. So now I'm going to take the sides and attach them together. So you see I've got the long side and the short side. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to do the same thing with the other two pieces and create my little rectangular planter. Very easy to do. Now I am going to go on the inside with my hot glue and reinforce the seams on the inside where I attach each of the pieces together. I thought that wouldn't be such a bad idea, and you won't see it anyway. Now I'm going to take some cardboard and I'm going to trace the inside shape. I'm going to cut it a little bigger than that because I want to have a bottom for this, and I'm going to trim it so you won't see it, but that it will fit perfectly on the underneath portion. So there it's still a little too big, and I'm going to trim it down, and this is very easy to do. Once I have the size I want, I'm going to put a generous amount of hot glue all along the bottom there, and then I'm just going to put that piece of cardboard right on that. Then I'm going to take my plaster chalk paint by Waverly and I'm going to paint the whole thing. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it could look distressed, but I just wanted to give it a nice kind of worn fence look. And there it is. Now I'm going to get some flowers. I'm just going to kind of trim them. I didn't even need to put foam in there. They just fit in really nice and snug. But I did think it was missing something. So I took some twine and I did 2 rows around the outside just to give it kind of like a finished fence look, like as if there was a post going around, the top portion and then the bottom portion. And I think that was just the right finishing touch for this one. Once I have both of those glued on, I'll just snip the edge off, and that's it. This was so cute and easy. I can really imagine this one on like a little tiered tray or a shelf. I just think it's super cute. You could change out the flowers for different seasons, and that way it'd be very versatile. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree clothespin DIY hack, I am going to make something. I didn't use those flowers, by the way, but I did use the fairy lights, and I'm going to take my plaster chalk paint, and I am going to use 10 of the little clothespins. I'm going to form them into kind of like a circle in the middle, and then hot glue all the way around, and that actually worked very well to hold them together. I'm also going to use that glue to attach a little round lemon medallion that was on a beaded garland from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to set that lemon right on the center. And I just thought this looks so cute because it's almost like they're raised from the sun around the lemon. So I'm going to add a little extra glue under each one to make sure that they sit nice and evenly on that lemon. Now I'm going to fill the hole that was there with some hot glue, smooth it down, and then I'm going to paint that white just to cover it up so it's not so noticeable. I mean, it's not that you can't see it, but it just makes it not very noticeable. I'm going to take a little piece of greenery, I'm going to attach it to the bottom of the lemon there, just because, as if it was growing on something. And then I'm going to take the fairy lights and I'm going to glue the fairy light the controller onto the back so that you can still open it and change the battery. And then I'm going to wrap the lights all the way around those clothespins. And just that way this can be illuminated. This would look so cute on a little tier tray or shelf. You could even hang it if you really wanted to. I just think it's adorable. I do love lemons. I don't have them in my kitchen, but my mom does, so she'll probably end up with this one. But I love adding fairy lights. They're so much fun. And I got mine on Amazon if you're interested. That is all there is to this one. Such an easy DIY hack. I love it. I love these little simple, easy ones, but they're still so cute. You will have to let me know what you think. And what would you do with this if you had one? Where would you put it in your house? Would you do a tier tray? Would you hang it? What would you do? I'm just curious. It would also be cute sitting in with your fruit. That would be really fun. Calendar hack. I've got the page out of that same calendar where it says Be the Sunshine, and I've got this 3-piece wall hanging from Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to remove that extra piece on there of the sand dollar because I don't really need it, and just take that off by heating it up and taking my little spatula and removing it. Now I am going to sand down this to make sure it's a nice smooth surface. After I'm done sanding, I'm going to take my maize colored Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to paint all 3 of the pieces and the little beads. And it takes a couple coats to cover that stuff. And then I'm going to fussy cut around these letters. I'm not going to do the word the because it's too small. So I'm going to do be, sun, and shine. I'll just cut those all out with my blade. And then I cut out some of the sunflowers as well because they were really pretty. I'm going to take my white wax by Waverly and I'm just going to dry brush it over the top to give it a little dimension. And I just put a little on my brush, wipe most of it off, and then drag it across the surface until it looks the way I want. You can use that for distressing or for an accent, and so that's what I'm doing. Now I'm going to position these pieces where I want them. They're not glued down yet, but I just want you to see how it's going to look. You can put them any way that you want. I'm going to take my matte Mod Podge and I'm going to use it and just start painting it on and attaching my pieces, and then I'll do a coat over the top. Then I'm going to take my Ocean Waverly chalk paint and I'm just with a fine art brush going to paint the word the. Now, I did not write that first with a pencil. You could. I figured 3 letters, I could probably do this. I mean, I did go over it a few times just to kind of fix my edges, but I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, I like the way it turned out. And the blue is just a nice pop of color there. I also added some little bees that were on that calendar page also because I thought that was super cute. So let me know what you think of this one. I think it's so bright and cheery. It was very easy to make. The hardest thing was cutting out the letters, but that's really not that big of a deal. For this Dollar Tree calendar hack, I found this page in that same calendar that says Be You with the beautiful bee. And I've got this cake board that I got at Dollar Tree. I thought these would be kind of fun to craft with. So and it's shaped like a flower, which I really liked. So I'm going to cut out the BU part. And I was trying to get a shape that would look decent on this little cake board. So I cut and cut and cut until I finally got a shape that I want. Honestly, you could do any shape that you want. This is just what I ended up with, and I was pretty happy with it. I'm going to take my purple Elmer's glue stick and I'm just going to cover the back of that. I love this glue stick because you can see where the glue is. I mean, I don't know, that just makes it so much easier for me. So I was very happy with that. I got that at Amazon, by the way. Anyway, I'm going to attach the little BU piece. I'm going to smooth it over and then use my brayer to make sure that it's really nicely attached. I'm going to add a simple twine hanger on the back with hot glue and a piece of tape like I usually do. Very easy. Do you visit Pinterest often? I do, and I get a lot of inspiration there. I've also started posting there daily. Check out my link down in the description box below and visit me there. Now I'm just going to take some greenery and flowers, and some of these are just beautiful with the purple. I think you always need flowers when you do bees because they would be attracted to that. And I'm just going to make a little swag-like type of a look on the bottom. So whatever I do on one side, I will do on the other and just make that look super pretty. You know, this would look really nice in the inside of a big green wreath, or it could just be a hanger all by itself. You don't have to put it on a wreath, but I think that would be a nice, pretty touch if it was just a plain green wreath. Now I'm going to add some more flowers. I just think it needed something in the center there to cover those little edges. And I mean, it's super easy, just clipping off the ends of the flowers, hot gluing them on, and then some more greenery to cover up the glue. It's hard to hide the glue unless you put something over it because you need to put enough to make sure that everything stays. The last thing I decided to do is take this black and white baker's twine and just outline the paper from the calendar that I put on there. I thought that gave it a more finished look, and the black and white went perfect with the picture for the bees. So I'm really loving the way this is turning out. It was very easy and very fast to make too. It did not take very long at all. So this would be a nice, quick, inexpensive craft. And you could do this one yourself with your kiddos, your grandkids, whatever you want. And I like the silver kind of shininess of that cake board. You could do the other side if you don't like that, but I thought I would try it. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree calendar hack, I love using those little pictures on the back of the calendar, the smaller ones. So I'm going to take that Freedom truck that's sort of got a flag on the top. I'm going to cut it out, and I've got this cute little sign from Dollar Tree. It's just a little boxy looking thing. And I'm going to leave that thankful piece on there. So I'm going to trim my picture from the calendar small enough that it will fit on that cloud. I just kept trimming until I saw that it fit. Then I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and I'm going to do a couple coats and cover that cloud with the white so you can't read the word or anything. That will be covered up, but I just wanted to make sure it was a nice covering on there. Now that it's dry, I'm just going to attach the little picture on there. I thought this was so cute. Super easy. I'm going to use that purple Elmer's glue stick again that I love. Anyway, and it's in my Amazon store if you're looking for it. I just cannot believe I didn't have it for so long. I'm going to attach that and make sure it's adhered very nicely. I'm going to use my brayer to roll over the top. Then I'm going to add some Mod Podge just to seal that whole thing in and make sure that it's all nice, and adhered, and just it looks so much better when you add a top coat. I thought it needed just one more thing just to give it a little more pizzazz. So I've got this beaded garland from the Dollar Tree and they're red, white, and blue beads. So I thought I'll take red, white, and blue and put it towards the top of the cloud and then red, white, and blue and put it towards the bottom of the cloud. Just to, give it more of that pop of color and that dimension. I love doing things like that. Just adding something a little extra, not too much, but just enough to make it really more festive, especially because this is for, 4th of July or anytime you just want to feel patriotic. Once I glue the last bead on, that is it. This one's done. So easy, so cute, and you can just put it anywhere. This would look adorable on a tiered tray or anywhere you want to put it. You'll have to let me know what you think of this one. 7-inch wood round at Walmart, and then I've got these cute little popsicle sunglasses from the Dollar Tree. I think they're adorable. I've got a piece of scrapbook paper. This came out of a pad from Walmart, and I am going to use my antique wax by Waverly. I'm going to paint around the edges only. That's all you're going to see. Then I'm going to take the connecting piece that goes on a clothespin with some hot glue and attach it on the back and create a hanger, and I'll put a little piece of tape over the bottom of it just to secure it even more. It's a great way to make a hanger. I'm going to trace a circle onto the back side of my scrapbook paper and cut that out. I'm going to take my purple Elmer's glue. I love this stuff. And I'm just going to put it on. You can see where it's going so you won't miss any spots at all. And it does dry clear, so no worries about that. And I ordered that on Amazon in case anyone's looking for them. This is like a jumbo stick. And I'm going to put that piece that I cut out right on top of it and just center it. I will secure it with my brayer. And then I'm going to take a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and in a downward motion, go all the way around and just pull off a nice clean edge. Look at that, just came out perfect. I'm going to add some Mod Podge over the top to seal that in. Now I'm going to take the sunglasses, and it's super easy to do this. I'm just going to pull off the handles or the pieces that go over your ears. And then I'm going to add some hot glue to the back and just position the popsicles right on the wood round. I'm going to take a flower that I think is really beautiful that goes with it from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off some of the stiff greenery in the back that kind of takes it apart. And I'm going to add back the petals one by one so that I can position the flower exactly how I want it. And then I've got this greenery from Amazon. I'm just going to pull off some pieces, clip off the ends, and hot glue them in there. Just so many on each side till I think it looks beautiful and full, and add a couple towards the top over the lenses on the glasses so you don't notice that as much. This was so easy, so quick and fun to do, and very budget friendly. I really love how it turned out. I think this would be a pretty easy one to do for anybody at any level, but it's a cute summer decor. What do you think? With this 7-inch wood round from Walmart, I'm going to take a scrunchie from the Dollar Tree that's patriotic. It's so pretty. I love those. And then I've got this wooden bead set with a little medallion on the end and a tassel from Dollar Tree as well. And this is going to be so easy. We're just going to remove the tags, place the little scrunchie, like the point where it meets the tails at the top, and then hot glue down the tails. We're going to create a shape that looks like wings with this. I just thought that would look so pretty. It's like a banner on wood, but kind of looks like wings, and the top of the scrunchie becomes the hanger. I mean, how easy is this? I'm just going to tack it down with a little bit of hot glue wherever I think it might move around, just to make sure it's nice and secure. I'm going to cut off the medallion, and I'm going to put glue on the back of it and just place it right in the center of the two pieces, the two tails that are now wings. I just thought that was pretty. I'm also going to cut off the tassel, put some hot glue, and put that right under the little USA medallion. Now I'm going to take a red, white, and blue bead, and I'm just going to put them on the top in that order, red, white, and blue, just going towards the top where the little scrunchie round part is. That's now the hanger. And that is it. This was so easy. You could do this with kiddos or grandkids. I thought this came out adorable. Let me know what you think. So easy. I've got the 7-inch wood round from Walmart. I've got this beautiful wood and metal star plaque that's patriotic from Dollar Tree, along with another bead set. This time it's got a heart with an American flag on it. I love these patriotic pieces that Dollar Tree has this year. I'm going to unscrew that wood piece. It was actually screwed on. That was a surprise. Usually they're just glued on. It was still glued on in the middle, but there were screws in it as well. So I just took that off. I'm going to hot glue that star right to the center of this wood round. I'm not even going to paint the wood round this time. I like the natural wood, but you most certainly could paint it. I think white would be pretty in this case. I'm going to arrange the beads all the way around. I notice I left them on the string. It's so much easier and faster to do this. And I did have to add a couple beads at the top. So I'm going to start gluing the beads one at a time all the way around to make sure it's nice and secure. Very easy. I mean, this is just like a pick an item and glue type of project. I love those once in a while. It's just nice to have something quick and easy to do. Didn't that come out cute? I love the way it looks so far. Now we are going to put this nautical rope. It's a 3 kind of strand nautical rope from Dollar Tree. I am going to glue it all the way around just to kind of finish it off. It almost gives it like a coastal patriotic look, which I love that coastal look. And I know a lot of you do too. So you don't have to add this rope if you don't want to, or you could add a different kind of rope that doesn't give the coastal vibe. But I decided to just go ahead and do this. I'm going to take a single strand of that 3-strand rope, and I'm just going to make a hanger on the back with some hot glue and tape like I usually do, just to secure it and make sure, that nothing moves anywhere. So easy. This one is all done. Literally, this probably took me 10-15 minutes most to make. I love it. You could put it anywhere in your house. You could even put it in the center of a wreath. I think that would be beautiful right on your door. Let me know what you think. Another super fast and easy hack with the stickers. I've got a $1 box planter. I got at Goodwill. I've got these butterfly stickers. I didn't end up using the gold one. It just didn't go with this once I got started. I am just going to put them on. You could paint this thing any color you want. I just thought that it was good in white. So I'm just going to take off these butterflies. I'm going to put them around the sides on the edges. I love that look of them kind of coming around the edges. So I'm going to do that on all 4 sides, and then I'll just randomly add some more butterflies. I mean, seriously, that is it. The star of the show is just going to be whatever flowers you put inside or plant you put inside. But I thought this looks so pretty and natural. It could go inside or outside. I am going to cover the whole thing with some of the clear polyurethane. That way it is safe for outdoor use, and it seals in those little butterfly stickers, which they're not that small actually, but they are gorgeous. I've used them on many projects before. If you watch my channel, you've probably seen them, and I haven't even used them up still, so I guess there's going to be more down the road. Anyway, I love the way this looks, just adding that last sticker on there. Did you know I'm on Pinterest? I've got pins almost every day on Pinterest. Just so much fun. I love that place. I get a lot of motivation and inspiration from there, and that might be helpful to you too. So I will have that link down in my description box, but feel free to come visit me and follow me on Pinterest. Here's the clear glaze, and there it is, all finished. Could this be any easier? And look how beautiful it looks when you put flowers in there. They could be real, they could be plants, whatever you like. I just put some faux flowers in there to show you. Let me know what you think. DIY. I've got 16 blocks and the See You at the Beach light up sign, and they're all from the Dollar Tree. It's got one of those little tea light candle thingies in there. And then I've got these ceramic stars from the Dollar Tree. They always bring them out right before summer. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use hot glue to make this to show you, but you can certainly use wood glue as well. I'm going to put 6 pieces together, and I'm going to make them 1, 2, 3 across, 1, 2, 3 across, and then attach them together. And I'm going to do 2 of those, which gives you a total of 12 pieces. Do you see that right there? Now I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them along the bottom longer sides of this piece from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue them directly to the bottom. If you want this to be taller, add another row. If you want it to be shorter, then only do 1 row. That's up to you. I'm now attaching the second side. This one is so easy. I'm trying to come up with ways to use the blocks where I don't have to build an entire thing, but just use them to accent something. So now I'm going to take 2 blocks, glue them together on the long, narrow sides, and then attach them to the 2 sides of this, making like a rectangular shape to be like a riser for this sign. I'm going to use my agave chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm just going to paint the whole outside of these blocks. This is one of my favorite summer colors to use. It's so pretty. Then I'm going to take some white paint, any white paint you want, and I'm just going to paint the inside and outside of the stars. There's 2 stars that hold this piece together and the little connectors. I didn't bother doing the inside of the base because nobody will see it, but you certainly can. Now I'm going to take my starfish. I'm going to hot glue it directly to the right side. Again, left side, right side, doesn't matter. I'm going to reinforce it a little on the back. And then I thought I wanted to look like a starfish. So I'm going to take my pumpkin colored chalk paint, because it's not like a bright orange. I'm going to water it down by putting some water on my brush and start dabbing on it until I get the shade of orange that I think looks the most like a starfish. And you can see it's just happening little by little. I'm just doing very light coats until it gets there. And I love that. I think it looks so much more real that way. Again, you can leave it white if that's your style. I found this greenery at the Dollar Tree. I don't know what it is because of the clear kind of plastic edges. It almost looks like seaweed. So I just glued some on towards the left, and then I added one more piece just above because I felt like that made it look like it was in the water more, kind of flowy, if you know what I mean. Add as much or as little as you like, and there it is. I love how this turned out. You could style it any way you want. And then I'm going to also show you what it looks like with the light on. Let me know what you think. For this tumbling tower DIY, we're going to need 22 blocks. And then I found this God Bless America sign that's like, it looks like a bottle cap. It's a metal sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take off the little hanger because we don't need that for this one. Then I'm going to take 6 blocks. I'm going to make a rectangle. So you see the shape here. I'm just going to hot glue 2 next to each other, and then 2 below it, the same width as a block would be to stand between them. And I know just by looking at this, you will understand what I mean. Sometimes it's hard to describe how you're gluing blocks together, and that's why the visual is so important. Anyway, super easy. This just sticks great. Again, you can use wood glue if you want. For the purposes of crafting on a video, I'm going to just do this with hot glue. It goes a lot quicker for me not having to wait for it to dry. And believe it or not, it's pretty sturdy. I use the Gorilla hot glue sticks, if anyone's wondering. Now I'm going to take for each corner and put 2 pieces just like the ones you see here next to each other. Then I'm going to take 2 more pieces and turn them into square legs, and this is going to be another kind of a riser. So you'll see here what I'm doing. I'm gluing at all the points where the block's going to touch another block. And then you'll see here the last block for this one corner. Again, I'm looking at it, deciding which parts of it are going to touch something, and then placing it. And you see how it turns into a little square? I'm going to do that for all 4 of the legs. There we go. And now it's a very sturdy base or riser for this. This would look so cute 4th of July putting things on it if you have company over, or even just to decorate your house. I'm going to use the ocean colored paint from Waverly, and I'm just going to paint the legs only. They're that beautiful blue that matches the front of this bottle cap piece. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really do enjoy your company, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, leaving such wonderful comments, even chatting with each other. This is such a wonderful group of crafting besties. I really love it. And this one's done. That's all there was to it. So easy. Like I said, you could put something on it. You could just set it on a shelf, whatever you want. If you have a larger tier tray, this could fit on that. Anyway, I love it. You will have to let me know what you think. For this tumbling tower DIY, I've got 8 blocks. I've got some mini cups, little like mini solo cups. And then I've got this really cool jute cord that's like regular colored with some blue in it. They put it out during the summer crafting supplies, like coastal looking things. I'm just going to double up a piece of tape and set my blocks right on them. I'm going to paint them white. This kind of holds it in place better when you're painting multiple blocks or little things. So I like to do that. And I'm just going to get any white paint that I have handy, whatever you've got. I'm going to paint all of the sides of the blocks. Now I painted 10, but it turned out I only needed 8. Next thing I'm going to do is take 8 of those little mini solo cups, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun and poke a hole in the top of each of them. Then I'm going to take that twine that I had, and I'm going to wrap it around the long ways of the Jenga block. When I get a piece on the top that's hanging off large enough or long enough, I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'm going to make sure I cut enough. I'm going to cut a total of 8 pieces so they're all the same length. Then I'm going to take it, bend it in half, and I'm going to put the Jenga block down in the middle and just set it there and hold it. See the long ways? I'm going to add a little drop of hot glue right there so that the twine or jute will stay in place. That's how this gets easier. Once it's in place, it's so much easier to hold it. Then I'm just going to tie a knot at the very top. I'm going to do that for all 8 of these little Jenga blocks, and these are going to become the ringer part of the bells. This is going to be a bell garland for the 4th of July, and I think it's so cute and fun and patriotic. Now I'm going to, after tying the knot, I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the 2 ends that are left so I can poke them through the solo cup. Then I will tie another knot and glue that down, and that will secure the little ringer inside of the bell. You could use any colors for your country to make it patriotic, what fits your place of origin. Now, if you want to make your remaining string longer so it's a little easier to tie a knot, absolutely do that, and then you just cut off the excess anyway. I don't have as much excess to cut off, but there you go. You can see I did all 8 of them. You can see the little ringers, and now I'm just going to chop off the end there. I'm going to take this twine again, the jute, and I'm just going to spread them out as far apart as I want them and just hot glue it to the top of each of those knots. Now, this is not the end because this might not be sturdy enough, but for right now, I'm just going to place it there. See how I did that? I'm going to stretch it across the same distance between each one, and then at the ends of all of that jute, I'm going to tie a slip knot so there's a way to hang this up. Now, like I said, we're not done. This wouldn't be secure enough to keep those cups on there. So what we're going to do next is take this white nautical rope. I'm just going to pull apart. There are 3 strands. I'm going to pull apart one, tie a big hefty knot. I'm going to do it 2 times. So it'll be like not a single knot, but like a double knot. I'm going to cut off the end, add a dab of hot glue there, make sure it's dry, and then I'm going to cut off the other end and add another little dab of hot glue, make sure it's dry. Then I'm going to hot glue that knot to the top of every one of those bells, push it down really well so that it covers both the knot that was originally there and the jute, and will secure to the cup. If you see what I mean, I'll do the whole thing, and now we've got such a cute little bell garland. I love it. So easy to make, so quick. This would be fun to do with the kids and grandkids. I know they would love it. Let me know what you think of this one. For this tumbling tower block DIY, I'm going to use 18 blocks. And what we're going to do is make a stand for these 2 coastal pieces that I got at Dollar Tree. One is just a round sand dollar with the gold, and one is a fish with the gold. And you'll see what I'm going to do to those in a minute. So first things first, we're going to start with the Jenga blocks. And I'm going to start gluing them together on the shorter, thinner sides. I guess not the shorter, but the thinner sides. And so what we're going to do is put 2 and 2 together and then attach the 2 to each other. Now we're going to start stacking them one on another and gluing them. So we're going to make 2 stacks, one on each side at the same height, and they're going to each have 6 blocks. Now I did both of those, and then we're going to attach them right to the back side of the other 4 that we had already assembled. So you can see here it's starting to look like a little stand. You could make this as tall or as short as you want, depending on what you're going to put on it and how much weight it needs to bear. If it's something very heavy, you might even want to double up that back row. Now I'm going to take the 2 remaining blocks and on that thinner side, put them standing up in the front, and now that creates a little gap, which is the place where we're going to put what we're making. So the first thing I'm going to do is, with a lot of hot glue, very generous, put that fish on this gold sand dollar. Now, there's probably a better glue you could use, but for the purpose of the video, I use hot glue. I would recommend something more permanent, like E6000, something along those lines. Now I'm going to paint the entire stand with my Agave paint by Waverly. Again, one of my favorite paint colors they make, and perfect for summer or coastal themed DIYs. And there it is. And now I'm going to take this rub and buff. It's like an antique gold, and I'm going to rub it all over the fish to tone down how shiny it is, because we've already got the sand dollar really shiny. We don't need the fish as well. So you can see what a difference that made. Anyway, I really love that. I love how this looks. You could put anything in the stand that it could hold, and what a fun DIY. Let me know what you think. is this really cool little cork holder that I found at the Goodwill. Gosh, it was last spring, I think. I spray painted it with Rust-Oleum's 2-in-1 paint and primer in the semi-gloss, and I did about 3 or 4 coats, just light ones to build up. And then I've got these little LED wire lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use those, and these gorgeous flowers from the Dollar Tree that I've had for quite a while. And I'm going to use my little tin snips, which are in my Amazon store linked below, to go ahead and cut all the little flower stems off because I want to put them inside this cork holder. I'm going to turn it into a really pretty floral arrangement with lights, almost to look like a bird cage kind of, but not a bird cage. Does that make sense? This DIY is almost too easy. After I painted it, I'm literally just arranging the flowers inside. I'm not gluing them down so I can change them out seasonally if I want. And then I'm going to put the light inside and literally, I mean, that's it. It's already got a hanger on the back to hang it up. And just imagine I could change out those florals or put birds in there, whatever it is. Fake birds, not real birds, obviously. And just hang it up. It's so cute. I absolutely love it. And honestly, if you can ever find one of these, you could even use like one of the wreath forms from Dollar Tree, the ones like the football shape or the basket shape hanging planter. You could turn a lot of things into this. I know it's hard to find the exact items at thrift stores, but just use your imagination and take inspiration from this. And that's kind of what I did when I found it. I didn't know I was going to be able to find something like this, but I'm loving how it turns out, and I've already got it up in my house. I'm super excited. I've always wanted something like this. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if it's something you would maybe want to try, if you could find something that would work. Last thing I'm going to do is just pull some of the flower petals through the cage and pull some of the leaves through so it looks like it's kind of overgrown. And I just love it. I didn't want them just stuffed and squished inside there. So to me, this really makes it look cute, like when they start to stick out a little bit. And that's it. Literally, this one is done.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul.
So I'm going to do that today. It takes 70 of the 10 tower blocks total. We use tacky glue and hot glue. We're going to start with 2 rows of 8. We're going to attach them with tacky glue and hot glue on the short sides. And I'm going to do the 2 rows. There they are. I'm going to sand them down a little just to get rid of any excess glue that might seep through. And then I'm going to take 4 more blocks and put one on one side of each of those longer pieces. This is the roof for the window. Now I'm going to take 6 of the little blocks, and I'm going to kind of create, I guess that would be what, the hexagon? Oh my gosh, I'm not sure, whatever 6 is. And then I'm going to stagger blocks around wherever there's like an intersection, and I'm going to use the tacky glue and hot glue, and I'm going to start gluing them together, just starting with the second row, because that'll attach it. You can see what I've done there. And now I'm just going to keep going. You can make this as tall as you want. Since I use 70 blocks, that's how many, I use for the roof, and that's how I got like 4 or 5 rows, I believe it. Now we're going to attach the roof, but first we need to make 2 pieces that it can attach to. So I'm going to take my miter shears from Amazon. And by the way, all the tools that I mentioned that I have from Amazon or supplies are always down in my Amazon store down in the description box in case you are looking for something like that. I'm going to take a pencil and just draw a quick diagonal line, use the miter shears at the angle that I need, and I'm going to just clip off that corner on 4 of the pieces. It's not really a corner, it's actually like half of an inch. And then I will hot glue 2 together so that it looks like it's pointed at the top, and of course tacky glue. And then I'm going to add 2 more pieces to the bottom of each one so that one, make it a little bit taller, the roof just wouldn't have sat quite right, you wouldn't be able to see anything inside of it. So now I'm going to attach those 4 pieces, 1 to either side. I'm going to add some extra hot glue on the inside just for extra security. Then I'm going to take the tacky glue and the hot glue, and I'm going to put one side of the roof on at a time and just hold it till the hot glue sets up. This tacky glue, by the way, works almost as good as wood glue, so it just makes sense, but it does dry it even faster, and it makes it easier to keep working. Of course, so does the hot glue. So there it is. And I'm going to go around with the hot glue and just reinforce any seam that I'm concerned about and get rid of my glue webs. You can put a bottom in it if you want, but I decided not to. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum luminous white chalk paint and I'm going to water down the top of the roof, and then I'm just going to kind of whitewash the paint. Not a light whitewash, but a little darker than that. Then I'm going to use my color Ocean and lacquer from Waverly, and I'm going to start doing red, white, and blue. I'm not going to do the inside because you're not going to see that too much. I'm going to cover the whole thing with polyurethane and put some florals. I love this one. What do you think?
How much I love cutting boards. I've got this metal truck from the Dollar Tree from the Crafter's Square section and this cute cutting board from the Target Dollar Spot. And I'm going to use the side that doesn't have those little like flowers on it. I used a 150 grit sandpaper just to sand all around the entire thing. Got this Butcher Block conditioner from Amazon. What it does is it has a mineral in it that exceeds the requirements for using with food items. So you can condition your wood with this and then it's food safe. I'm going to cover every part of it. Then I'm going to go back to the metal truck and I'm going to take out the twine at the top. I'm going to take some masking tape. I'm out of painter's tape, but honestly, masking tape works well. And I'm just going to make a little square in the middle of the back side of my truck. I don't want those lines that were on the front. And I'm going to take kind of like a stiff stippling brush with my Ocean Blue Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to start stippling a square in the upper corner of this square. And then I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to stipple all the rest of that square with the white. Then I'm going to take my lacquer paint from Waverly, and I'm going to take a smaller brush, and I'm going to stipple stripes. So basically, it's going to look like a square version of our flag. But it's so easy because you don't have to be very exact because you're stippling. And the tape will give you nice, clean edges. So once I have that on there the way that I like, then I'm going to take the other end of a small paintbrush in the white paint, and I'm just going to start putting some little dots, and I'll dry it with my heat tool. I'm not going to go for perfection on the stars. There's not 50. I'll cover the whole thing with my Mod Podge once it dries, and then I will remove the tape. And I know it's so satisfying. Don't you love it? And I've got this just cute little flag in the middle of my truck. You can still see it's a truck, but I didn't want to get all hung up on that. I just want it to look like a truck with a flag on the back. Now I'm going to position it on the back side of that cutting board. Once I have it where I want, I'm going to put hot glue all along the back. Now I did this on purpose. That way, if I wanted to remove it, I could and change it out for something else. And so now we're just going to take that truck, turn it around and center it again and put it flat on the cutting board. So easy. Now I've got those holes in the upper right-hand corner. So I found some really pretty silvery, glittery type stars in my stash. I took 4 of them and I put 4 on. I hot glued them on. And that took care of that. And I think it goes with that 4th of July, patriotic theme. And this was so quick and easy. You could put this together on the back of any cutting board you have. And you could do it with any piece of metal. I just used the truck because I had one. I tied the twine at the top, and that's it. How cute and easy, and a nice addition to my cutting board collection. Let me know what you think of this idea. DIY, I am going to take 30 blocks total, 3 groups of 10 blocks, and then 3 stars from the Dollar Tree. Put my tacky glue and my hot glue and attach each side of 5 to each other, and then the whole thing together. I'm going to do that 3 times because I'm making 3 of these squares. Also going to add some extra glue on the back side and just really reinforce those seams, and then I'll just kind of rub it in with my finger. And that does come off super easy with a baby wipe. There they are, all 3 of them. This is going to be a very rustic kind of 4th of July DIY. I'm going to put some tape under each of the stars and tape them down to my paper so I can paint them without them moving around. I'm going to use the lacquer color, the Rust-Oleum linen white, and the ocean blue. And I'm going to do those same 3 colors on each of the squares. Now I am going to distress them by sanding them, so I'm not too worried about the coverage. Once they're dry, I will take my sanding block and I'm just going to go around all the edges and then try to get a bunch in the center. I just really want it to look distressed. Of course, I cleaned them off. I'm going to hot glue different color stars on each one so that, of course, it's not the same color star as it is square. Really loving the way this one is already turning out. I am going to take a nail file and just dull the little stars a little bit too. Got this scrap piece of burlap. You can see I put some paint on it, but I'm going to cover that up. I'm just going to hot glue each one right to it, and this is going to be how they hang together. Just put a little space between each one. And yes, it did come right up off my desk easy, and I just kind of rubbed away the hot glue before it dried. I'm going to put another tumbling tower block in the center of each one because I just want to secure it just a little bit more. And also that way when it hangs, it'll have a nice way to hang on the wall. I need a place to put my little hanger. I'm going to trim the top and the bottom because it was just a little too long there. I only want a little bit of the burlap showing through. I've got a little sawtooth hanger that I got on Amazon, and that was another reason I used those tumbling tower blocks on the back. And I love how this one turned out so easy. You have to let me know if you would try something like this. Dollar Tree DIY is so easy. I've got this little corrugated piece of metal, it's a square, and this little wooden home sign from the Dollar Tree, and it's got a little red carnation. So I thought, let's make this patriotic. I'm going to take a little bit of my linen white Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush it on the metal very lightly. So put some on my brush, dab most of it off, and then just drag it across. And there it is. You could do more or less. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the gray H, M, and E of the sign. And I'm going to do the inside and the edges as well. Very, very light dry brush. I actually ended up doing a little bit more than light, but I like the way it looks. I'm going to pull that flower off. You could use a heat tool if it's sticking really well, but it's just glued in there. Kind of straighten up that little hole so I can put it back. And I'm going to take my ocean colored Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to do a couple coats and I'm going to do just the O on this little sign. I thought that turns it into kind of a red, white, and blue piece, even though there's gray on it, but there's also gray on the metal piece. I think that just goes really nicely together. Using an angled art brush to get into all those places so I don't make a mess, and I'm going really slow so that I don't hit any other parts of this. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool, and then I'm going to cover the entire home's little block with some Mod Podge just to seal it in. Once that's done, I'm going to take the little flower, put some hot glue on the back, and you see it's got a stem there. It'll fit right in that hole, and literally that puts that sign back together, and now it's got that patriotic look that I love, and it's still pretty any time of year, I think. We're just going to hot glue it on the corrugated parts that face upward, because there's no point in putting it on the other ones because it won't touch the back of the sign. I kind of looked at it to see where it would touch, and I added that, and that's it. Glued it right on there. You could use E6000 with this just to make sure it'll stay. I'm not too worried about it, but it's definitely an option, and we'll definitely hold it there. How it turned out. You'll have to let me know what you think. Star-shaped bowls at the Dollar Tree, and I thought, what a fun idea for like a 4th of July project. So I'm using this blue acrylic paint, I'm using my white chalk paint and some red acrylic paint, and I'm going to make them, one of them red and white and one of them blue and kind of white. So I'm going to first tape off the top and bottom of the one so I can paint the white in the opening, but first I'm going to remove the tag using my heat gun from Amazon, and of course it's in my Amazon store, and most of my tools are there that I've gotten from Amazon in case you're interested. And now I'm going to paint downward from the tape on both sides, downward from the tape, because I don't want anything to bleed. And so I'm just going to do that, and then I'll kind of go touch it up. While that's drying, I'm going to put the blue all over the outside of the other star, and I did like 3 coats. I'm going to add the white chalk paint to the bottom. I don't know why, I just felt like it needed it. So, and you're only going to see it through the glass, so you don't have to make it look perfect. I'm going to take the tape off, and actually it came out pretty well. I didn't have to do a lot of fixing of this one, so I have to say that really helped to go the paint down from the tape and not across it. And you can see there's just a couple little spots here and there. So what I'm going to do is take my X-Acto knife and just kind of scrape off the excess, because there wasn't that much, and that really doesn't take very long, and it's super easy to do. So there's a little hack for you. Now I'm going to take the red, and I decided not to tape the white because I didn't want the paint to get pulled up, so I just went super slow and easy with a very flat top brush, and I went all the way around. While that's drying, I'm going to put Mod Podge all around the outside of the blue and white star dish. And there we are. I put Mod Podge now on the red and white one too, so you can see how they look. But I wanted it just to have a little extra oomph, so I got a wet paintbrush that was kind of a stiff bristle. I got some chalk paint on it, and I just flicked it all over. And the fact that the paintbrush was wet is what made this so easy to do. Otherwise, chalk paint is probably too thick and you'd get big globs. And I like the way this was kind of just splattery. I love that look. So I'm going to do it on both of them. And really, that's all there was to this one. It was so easy, and I think it turned out super, super cute. Have to let me know what you think. It's funny, I don't always think about painting glass, but in this case, I think it turned out really well. You have to let me know if you've ever painted glass, and what do you think about this one? Static DIY, I found this jar at a thrift store that said 1776, had the Liberty Bell, and I loved it. I got it for $1. I'm going to use my Ocean Color Chalk Paint by Waverly. I'm going to add some water and put it right in that jar. And I'm going to swirl it around and mix it up. And then I'm going to start rolling the jar like on its side and just start coating the inside. I'm only painting on the inside because I want the outside to stay smooth, and I'm going to do something else there. Now, I added probably a teeny bit too much water. I don't know if there's an exact amount that you should do, but I ended up pouring some of it out and adding a little more paint in there because it was too watery and I wanted it to be a little heavier. So now I'm going to try rolling it around again now that I've done that and just kind of wipe off any excess, put the lid back on, and I will roll it around, and this really did the trick. So I think the key is maybe a little less water. Anyway, once it dried, that was what I wanted it to look like. Now I'm going to take my white chalk paint by Rust-Oleum, the linen white, and I'm going to take a little foam brush, and I'm only going to brush inside that oval shape that had the raised lettering in the picture. And you just go ahead and coat it, and you don't have to be perfect about it. And once you get that on there, I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm literally going to wipe it off again. Not like a heavy duty wipe, but I want to leave some behind because what I want is to make the cutout part in the letters in the picture look more visible. And see how that's going? I just love the way that looks. And then I'm going to take another paper towel and put some water on it, and I'm literally going to wipe off any paint that's around the oval to make sure the rest of the jar is nice and clean. So literally it's just still wet, so it just comes right off with water, no problem. And that's all I'm going to do to that part, and it's so easy and so cute. Now if I had used the color white inside the jar, I could have used a darker color on that outside, and that would have made it stand out. But just a cute little technique, and now you can see the picture really nicely. Next, I'm going to take this ribbon, and I cut a size that fits perfectly around that base of the jar, and I'm just going to hot glue it in the front and then like on the sides, just a little bit, a drop of hot glue. And then in the back, I will bring the two pieces together and make, a little seam there. And I just thought that was very pretty. It just made it look a little more finished, and it kind of brought the lid and the jar together. Next, I have got this foam scatter from the Dollar Tree. Like, I never use this stuff, but I had it in my stash. So I thought, you know what, this would be fun, even though it's glittery. Not a big fan of glitter, but I decided to put the larger white star on the top with some hot glue, just to make it a little decorative. And then I'm going to take 3 of the smaller stars, because they came in 2 sizes. So I'm going to do a red, white, and blue, and just put them right in the front. And I thought, just how cute is that, just to sit on a shelf or outdoors, it doesn't matter. All I know is this was easy peasy. You've got to try this one. This white lantern at a thrift shop. Now, do not blink or you will miss this DIY. It's that easy. I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol and clean this off. It was pretty dirty and it came right off, so that was good. And once it's all clean, I am going to take some of my Crimson Chalk Paint by Waverly, and I'm just deciding what areas I would like to paint this red color. Now, you could do any parts that you want, so this is just subjective to your personal taste. So I did a lot of the stuff on the center there, and then I do also go in and I do the very top as well. So I wanted to make this a nice mix of red, white, and blue. I mean, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Ocean Color by Waverly, and I'm going to do the little handles of the lantern in that gorgeous blue color. I love that color. That's it. That is all I did to this one. It's done. It's so easy. I hope you like it. From the Dollar Tree, and the bandanas from the Dollar Tree, and this star from the Dollar Tree, which was kind of new. I'm going to use my cutting mat and my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut 2-inch wide strips, and then I'm going to take those strips and I'm going to cut them down to 6 inches. I'm going to take those pieces, I'm going to fold them in half, and I'm going to slide them underneath the edge of the wire on the wreath and push the 2 ends that are cut through and pull it, and that's a lark's head knot. And so I'm doing it slow here so you can see, and then I'm just pulling it tight. Now I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to push the little hoop end underneath the wire, push the cut ends through the middle and pull it through. And that's basically what I'm going to do for all of the little fabric pieces that I cut. So you see, I just did the upper left portion of the star with the blue, which is kind of like on a flag, that would be the stars. And then I used my other two fabrics and I did the rest of it. Now I ran out of the gingham, but I had this ribbon that matched, so I used that to fill in. I'm taking my bow maker and I'm going to use this gorgeous ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby on huge clearance a long time ago. And I'm going to make a 5-inch tail, and then I'm going to start wrapping my loops. Now, one side of this does not have a pattern, so I'm going to twist in the middle every time. And I'm going to make 3 loops on each side by just going around, twisting in the middle, going around. And then at the very end, I will pull another 5-inch tail out on the other side where I didn't already put a tail. And then I will cut that, right at the 5-inch point. With the bow maker, bows are so easy to make. Without them, I'm pretty much lost. I got mine on Amazon for like $10, I want to say. So worth it. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure I have it in my Amazon store if you're looking for one as well. So now I'm just finishing up my last loop. Actually, that's the tail, cutting the 5 inches. And now I'm going to stick a piece of jute twine. Now you can use chenille stems, pipe cleaners, whatever you want to call them, or twist ties. A lot of people like, or zip ties, a lot of people like to do that. But I just use jute because I have it really handy and it's so inexpensive. And I just tied it really tight, snip the ends. And now I'm going to take the 2 ends, the 2 tails, and I'm going to fold them on top of each other in half. And then I'm going to cut towards the bow at an angle and make a little dovetail, or some people call them tuxedo tails. Either way is fine. I'm going to fluff my bow, and then I'm going to make another bow, but I'm going to move my little pegs into the number 4, so there'll be 4-inch loops and 4-inch tails, and did the same thing. Now I'm going to tie them both together, the smaller bow on top of the larger one. I'm going to use my jute again, tie that really tight. It's so cute. I love it. And then I'm going to take a little piece of that blue bandana, and I'm just going to cut a piece that will fit around the center and hot glue that, and that gives my little bow a nice center. And again, more fluffing. There's no such thing as too much fluffing. You can fluff your bow forever. I just put the jute through the wire in the back, and there I am fluffing again. Here's the second DIY within the first DIY. I'm taking this cute little birdhouse I got at a thrift store. I'm using the Amy Howard at home one-step paint. Love the way it looks. And then I'm going to take my steel from Waverly, and I'm just super lightly going to dry brush around the edges and then on the sides and stuff. And basically I just put a drop on my brush, wiped it off on that little towel, and then dragged it across the little birdhouse. Now I've got a red marker, and I'm just going to write the word USA. And then I'm going to take a blue marker, and these are jot markers from the Dollar Tree, and put some little stars on it. And then I'm going to put a coat of polyurethane over the whole thing. I'm going to take another cute little red, white, and blue bow. I think that one's from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to tie a knot, and then just cut the ends at an angle and tack down the ends with some hot glue. I'm going to take that wiry looking thing, I'm going to stick it through the wreath, and then put some jute through it and attach it so it sits very firmly on the back of the wreath. And these will work as hangers. I'm loving this. I hope you guys like it. It's so cute. My husband already wants it. Oh, well, it's so much fun to make. DIY. I've got this beautiful scarf. I used it in another one. Super summery, 4th of July. And then I've got this round glass trivet. I just cut out the scarf that was a little bigger. And I'm going to use my matte Mod Podge really heavy on this glass trivet. And I'm going to start laying down the fabric. So I'm just going to keep, doing it in sections and lay down a lot. It takes a while for this to dry, so I went on and did something else while it was drying. But I'm going to get that piece on there pretty well, and I'm going to rub it down with my hands, and then just wipe off my fingers with a baby wipe. I wanted to get rid of bubbles. Now, I did end up getting a few bubbles after the first try because I'm going to put that Mod Podge over the top as well to saturate it. So when the first time it dried, I did poke some holes with a needle just to kind of lay it back down flat, and that worked really well. I'm not sure what I could have done to prevent the bubbling. I think it had to do with using fabric on the glass. So just something to be mindful of. You might want to check it periodically. I did wait and then come back, so maybe I could have caught them sooner. So I used my heat tool from Amazon to dry it just a little bit so I could walk away from it. And then I decided that it needed some more. So first I'm going to trim the edges because I want to make sure now that I have the right size. So I had to do that a couple times because I trimmed it off and then I smoothed it. And then there was still a little bit hanging over, and then I cut that off as well. So just keep an eye on it. It's so easy, you guys. This one is such an easy thing. You just have to kind of watch it because you're attaching like fabric to glass, which is just a weird combination, but it just comes out really, really cute. And I definitely couldn't have painted that pattern on there. That much I know for sure. Once that dried, I did decide to come back and use a glossy Mod Podge for the finishing coat because I did want it to be as glossy as possible. A very generous coat. And this time it wasn't moving around, so that helped. So I really love how it turned out. July, if you will. I've got this cute star scarf and another really fun kind of whimsical like watermelon ice cream, you know, all that kind of 4th of July stuff. I've got 2 of the hoops from Amazon, but Dollar Tree does have bamboo hoops, so you could do it with bamboo hoops too that they sell, but mine happen to have the double with the little screw at the top. I'm just going to lay out the scarf on top of the middle one, take the bigger one and lay it right over the top. I'm going to pull it taut and then I'll screw the top tighter and then I'm just going to cut around it. The first cut's just going to be kind of like just to get rid of the rest of the scarf and get it out of my way. And then I'll go in for a little bit of a closer cut. Then I'm going to take my Beacon fabric tack glue and I'm just going to, on the back side of this, put the glue on the inside of the wood hoop, and then I'm going to just roll it over with my finger all the way around, and it sticks perfectly because you know scarves are so thin, and Beacon fabric tack glue works amazing. I usually get mine on Amazon, and you know all of my favorite Amazon supplies are in my Amazon store, which is always down in the description box below if you need anything. Now for the second one, I'm going to use that other fabric again, lay it over that middle hoop, and then take the larger hoop and push it right over the top and tighten it. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Trim it down, pull it taut, and then I will trim it again because I needed some to be able to pull it taut. That's why I don't trim it all the way down the first time around, because you're thinking, why are you cutting it twice? Well, it just makes it easier to work with. See how little it's sticking through? So now I'm going to glue that, and that's the end of that one. Once that's done, I'm going to take some of that nautical twine that I had, and I'm just going to tie it to the top of one of the hoops where the screw is on the back side and make a knot. And then I'll pull the twine as long as I want the hanger to be and tie it to the other one. And when I hang these, it's going to be one hanging higher than the other one. You can hang them separately. You could even attach them together. I just decided to make it kind of like a uneven hanging thing. I thought that would look kind of cute. And you can hang these on the wall. You could hang these over a wreath, like a green wreath, something like that, just for fun. So see how I'm tying it there. Now I'm going to tie the second one. And I did pull out the twine so I could kind of see how long I wanted it to be. So I will trim off the little edges once I've got the knots secure. I decided to make a little loop on the top. That way it would be very defined. I'm laying them exactly how I want them to fall. And then I'm going to make a little slip knot right here at the top. And now it's got a perfect loop for hanging. So you'll have to let me know what you think of this one. I think it's fun. This is a bonus DIY. So I've got this hat from the Dollar Tree and they come with these scarves kind of like glued on them. So I'm just going to pull it off. I didn't get to actually film it. I just took pictures. So I pulled it off. It came off pretty easy. I didn't have to use any tools or anything. It just kind of ripped off and it did not destroy the hat at all. So now we have this basic white straw hat and I've got a piece of the star scarf that I already used. And I'm going to pull the rest of it and make it a nice rectangle and put it over the top where your head goes. Then I'm going to wrap it around and bring the 2 pieces forward so it's like the center of that scarf is on the hat. Then I'm just going to tie, not a double knot, but a single knot across, and literally I'm going to turn it into a bow now, just a basic bow. I'm going to fluff it, and it is the cutest hat. So you could change your hat anytime you want. Isn't this pretty? I thought it was so cute, and it just took less than a minute. So will you try this? Tree towel hack. I've got this Catch Me by the Sea towel. I love that sea turtle. And then I've got this old picture frame that I had. I've got my agave paint by Waverly. I'm going to paint the frame in the agave, and I just did 2 light coats, and that was perfect for this. I'm going to take my plaster color chalk paint and I'm going to dry brush it over the top. And so I'm just going to put a little on my brush, wipe most of it off, and then drag it across the surface till I get the look that I want. And I love this look for coastal. I think it just kind of creates a beachy feel to it. I'm going to take some Mod Podge and seal that in because I don't want it to like chip off or, kind of get cracked. I'm going to cut out just the turtle on this towel. So first I'll just cut out the piece, and then I'll fussy cut around him and just get the entire turtle's body as close as I can to the turtle. There it is. I'm also going to take some of the rest of this fabric from the towel that has the seaweed on it, and I'm just going to figure out the size of a piece by folding it over when I set it inside the frame and cutting there, and that's going to be my background for the picture. Now, this particular backing of the frame doesn't come off. It stays on one side, so you have to be really careful. So I'm going to put some hot glue on there and take that piece, make sure it's the right direction when I put it back, and just attach that to the backing and then cut off any excess. Now I'm going to position the turtle, and some of it's going to hang over because it is a little big, and I'm going to start gluing it, kind of side by side, just a little bit at a time, just to make sure I get it on there. Once I have it on there, I will cut off the excess that is hanging over. This is a very easy project. I'll just seal the frame, and then I'll turn it over so you can take a look at how this is turning out. Isn't that so sweet? This would look really cute in a coastal bathroom or bedroom, wherever you have coastal things. It just turned out beautiful, and I just love it. And honestly, how easy was that?
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul.
For this Dollar Tree towel hack, I've got kind of like a kitchen towel, and it says "See you at the beach," and I just love this one. It's so cute. And then I've got this plastic cutting board from the Dollar Tree. I've also got these furniture tacks that I ordered on Amazon. I'm going to use 4 of those. So first thing is I'm just going to cut down this towel by putting the cutting board over it just to get a kind of general idea of size. It won't be exactly this, but we want to work with less to, just to start off with. Now I'm going to press it with my mini press. Of course, you can just use a regular iron because it's got that fold. I'm going to trim off that kind of camel colored piece at the bottom, and then I'm going to trim it at the top because I really just want this to kind of float in the middle of the cutting board. So I'm going to position it on there. I did cut off the sides already, and it looks perfect. Now I'm going to Mod Podge it on. So I'm just going to start at the top, and then I'm going to get the Mod Podge on there at the very top, position my piece, and then add the rest of the Mod Podge. On larger pieces, I love to do them in sections. So then I will be able, it won't move out of place right now. It'll just stay right where I want it to. And I'll add the rest of the Mod Podge and then press down the towel. Get rid of any wrinkles or bubbles by doing this. And then I'll also use my brayer to make sure it's making 100% contact with the cutting board. I'm going to cover it with some more Mod Podge because I do want to seal this in, not because I'm going to use it for food or cutting, but because I just want it to really be on there and I don't want the fabric to fray. I'm going to cut off very carefully the little pointy parts of the tacks because they're too long. And then I'm going to glue them on and hammer them in so they do attach slightly. And I do it in all 4 corners. I just think that looks so cool. Then I'm going to take this pick from the Dollar Tree that has sort of a seaweed look. I know it's not seaweed. And I'm going to make a swag at the top. So the same thing I do on one side, I will do with the other, and I'm going to hot glue them on. And I thought that looked pretty. And then I'm going to take a seashell, which came from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue it right in the center there to cover up the end of the stems. And I'll tack down any leaves that were blocking words or whatever. And there you go. How pretty is that? I think that could go in any room of the house. It would also look so cute in the kitchen because it is a cutting board. But you'll have to let me know, what do you think?
Has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul.
For this Dollar Tree towel hack, I've got this beautiful pineapple, kind of Hawaiian feeling kitchen towel. And I just thought it's so beachy. And I've got a wine bottle. I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to set it upside down, get rid of the tags, and I'm going to put the bottle right in the center, and just from the short sides or the narrower sides, start just gluing it up to the bottle. Then I'll turn it the other direction and glue the middle of the long side up to the top of the bottle as well. I'm trying to create kind of like pleats, if you will. So I'm doing it to the fourth side now. So now we're just going to play with the fabric so that I can kind of fold it and pleat it and glue it down wherever I need to try to make it look pretty with the pleats. This is a personal thing. Like, see how that pleat is? I do like the way that looks. It is difficult to make it symmetrical, but not impossible. And it just takes a little bit of glue. So there it is, all attached to the bottle. Now I've also got this lemon beaded garland from the Dollar Tree. Now I don't want a lemon with this. So what I'm going to do is with my plaster chalk paint by Waverly, I'm going to paint over starting from the white part around the lemon into the middle and cover that. I'm going to take these peonies from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to cut one down. I'll take off some of the bigger leaves on the bottom because it's a little big for this. Put the backing back on and glue it. And then I'm going to hot glue it right to the center of that medallion. First I'll put the leaves down and then I'll put what I left of the flower. Now I'm going to take some jute and I'm just going to wrap it around, tie it, wrap it around, just keep wrapping it around. I want that top to be very tight and secure to hold the towel onto the bottle. So once I've got it tight, I will wrap each piece around and around and then tie it off and then glue it on to attach it at the end there. You could do a really big ribbon too. So I'm going to take the medallion and right where the pleat starts at the top there, right under the twine, I'm going to hot glue that in place. And that flower just goes perfectly with the flowers on the towel. Then I'm going to take the beaded garland, wrap it around, hot glue the bead down, and cut off the excess because I only want to have it just go around once and meet back at the medallion. And I'm just going to hot glue that down. And I'll hot glue a few beads here and there just to hold it in place. I thought this was so pretty to add that. Now I'm going to add some more florals because I really want to put them inside the bottle and treat this almost like, it's a vase. And I think it's just going to be so pretty. And it would be really pretty on a table if you're having people over out by the pool or outdoors, or if you're just having even like a nice Hawaiian themed get together. I think that would be so beautiful. You'll have to let me know what you think. Just something else you can do with a Dollar Tree kitchen towel. For this Dollar Tree kitchen towel hack, actually I think this is a bathroom towel really, I've got this shell-shaped wooden frame from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut out the part that says Sunshine State of Mind. And I'm going to fussy cut that all the way around the words. Now I don't want to use that square hole in it for a frame, so I'm going to take out the wooden piece. And it's so thin, I'm going to use my scissors and cut around and make it slightly smaller. And then what I want to do is be able to set it inside there and from the back and hot glue it in so it brings the front up to flush with the rest of the wood. I hope that makes sense. And I did add the paper back just to cover that up. So you see how it's now flush with the front so the whole thing can lay on it. I'm going to take some pieces from that towel that we just cut the words off of and put this beautiful kind of like seaweed on the back. So I'm just going to use my Mod Podge and attach that with the Mod Podge. So I'll take one piece and then the other just to create a beautiful background. And then I'll take the other piece and do the same thing. Then I'm going to take the part that has the words on it, and that's going to get hot glued right to the center of this. And I'm just being really careful to get the glue on there without pulling up the threads. So I'm just centering that the best that I can. And then I'm going to put some of the twine around that piece that has the words on it, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Next, we're going to cut off all the excess. So I'll be using scissors and a blade to do that because some of the little pieces you can't get your scissors into. So you just go nice and slow and make sure your blade is very sharp. And that way we can see the shell shape when we're all done. Now I'm going to add some twine around the outside of that to help define that seashell shape and so it's more visible. This one was very easy, super cute. This could be really fun to do with your grandkids or kiddos too, I think, because it's very easy. And just going to take a little bit of those pics that remind me of seaweed and just put some on the bottom just to give it a little more interest. And I'm going to take another seashell from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to hot glue that right in the middle of the greenery just to finish it off. So it's a seashell with a little seashell on it. Anyway, I think it's super cute. I love the colors. So pretty. These towels are gorgeous. I hope you can find them. Let me know what you think. DIY, I've got this cute little wooden picture with a turtle on it, and I love the beaded handle. I'm going to take this napkin. I believe I got the napkin at, I want to say it was Hobby Lobby quite a long time ago, but you can find really good coastal napkins just about anywhere that they sell them. I'm going to use a piece of tape to separate. This is a 3-ply, so there's going to be 2 pieces behind that pattern piece, and using a piece of masking tape is a really quick way to do it. Now I'm just going to lay the napkin over and see how much I actually need. And it works out that I actually only need like a quarter of that napkin. I'm going to take some Mod Podge and paint it over just the turtle. Now once I've got that on there, I'm going to lay that napkin right over the top, spread it with my fingers a little bit, and use my brayer to flatten it out. Now, while it's still wet, you have a couple options here. You can just rip around the edges very carefully by pushing down on the part that, you know, is going to be staying, but sometimes that pulls up the napkin. I ended up taking a blade. I just wanted to show you that option. But I ended up taking a blade and very carefully going around. Better to do this once it's dry so that you don't pull up anything that's, you know, meaning to stay. I'm going to take my off-white paint that I have. You can use any paint you want. And I'm just going to paint around the frame. I thought that would look so pretty. I've got this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. It is a 3-ply, but I'm just going to keep 2-ply. I'll remove one of the plies. And then I'm just going to twist up the end, and I'm going to glue the end so that it will lay down flatter. Now that I have the end of the rope taken care of, I'm going to line the inside edge of this picture with my hot glue, and I'm going to lay down the twisted double strand part of the rope. And I'm going to put that all the way around the whole inside of that square, and then I'll cut it off and glue it down at the end. And that is it. Didn't that turn out so pretty? I really love this one. And if you wanted to, you could paint the beads white. I just decided not to, and I left the background natural too. What do you think? For this DIY, for the coastal DIY, I'm going to take this picture with a starfish on it. And it's just like the other one, but it's just a different picture. I'm going to take some caulk. Now, I got this at the Dollar Tree, so you can get it there. And I squeezed it out all over the starfish as much as I could get out there. It's a pretty tight squeeze, let me tell you. Anyway, I got it all out eventually. Now I'm just going to spread it around with my finger and try to cover the whole starfish. And then I'll wipe away any excess that got on, you know, the wood that's around it. I wanted to create a texture, and I will tap my finger on it a little bit too. Now I'm going to take my white paint and I'm just going to go around the edges of the frame, and I've got that 3-strand cord, that's nautical rope. I'm going to go ahead and glue the edges, but I'm only going to use a single strand on this one, and I'm going to glue around the inside of the starfish picture and just lay down that single strand of this 3-strand cord rope. Easy for me to say. I think that this particular nautical rope just adds so much to the coastal vibe. I mean, it is a nautical rope after all, right? All right, so now that I've got that all on there, I think that looks amazing. But I want to make the starfish look more like a starfish. So I'm going to take my pumpkin Waverly chalk paint and just use a like stippling stencil type brush and just dab it on there. My caulk is dry now, so I can do that. And once I get all of that on there, I'm going to take a little bit of that white again and just very lightly tap over it to dull down the orange a little bit. And I actually think this turned out looking a lot like a real starfish. I did also take a little pointy kind of a tool, and I went in and I peeled out all of the caulking that was inside those little holes on the starfish. I just forgot to turn the camera on for that, but that was very easy to do. I just kind of pulled that out of there. And there goes the white that I'm just kind of lightly tapping on just to kind of make it a little bit more dimensional in color. I didn't want it to be that solid orange. Look at that. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I just think this looks so realistic. It's almost like I glued an actual starfish on there. That's how much I love it. You'll have to let me know what you think. It was so easy to make. And again, it just looks so realistic.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season.
For this coastal DIY, I've got another one of these pictures. This one has a seahorse on it, which I think is absolutely adorable. And what I'm going to do on this is use a collection of different colors, moss, pool, lagoon, and this one is agave. I have in a different container because I love it so much. And I'm going to start just painting different parts of the seahorse in the different colors. And not exactly an ombre, but just kind of a fading of one color into another. So I'm just using a smaller art brush to do it. And then I decided to put the moss at the top above the agave. I wasn't really sure when I started the order I was going to go in. And it's okay if it does get a little bit on the wood because I'm going to use some white wax by Waverly to kind of cover that up. Now I'm going to take the next color and go down and basically just keep doing this until I get all the different colors on the seahorse. You can see what I'm doing there. I'm not worried about what the line looks like right where I start the new color, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So now I'm just going to end with the lightest color of all. I'm going to take some water on a clean brush and I'm going to go blurring the lines between each of the paint colors, and that's what I'm going to do starting right here. And that way it's just more of a gradual change, so it's not like a block kind of color thing. So I just thought that looked really pretty to just slightly blend them. Now I'm going to take the moss chalk paint. I'm going to paint the whole frame around the outside. I thought that would be a nice color to use, and I only used a little bit of it on the seahorse, but I think it's super pretty and it goes along with it. Now I'm going to take that white wax I mentioned, and I'm just going to very carefully with a teeny tiny art brush go around those edges and in those holes to try to cover up anywhere I might have made a little mistake. And that really does do the trick. And then I'll take a bigger brush and do the rest of the background just to kind of blend it all together. Now I'm going to take some very thin jute and I'm just going to attach it along that inner portion next to the frame. I just think that really ties this all together and helps contribute to that coastal look, and I really love that finished look there. I thought this one, because it's underwater, like it really needed some kind of seaweed look, so I thought these greenery worked for that. So I just glued some on the one side and a smaller piece on the left side, just to give it that idea like the seahorse is actually floating in the water. And I love this one. It's definitely one of my favorites today. You have to let me know what you think. I do love seahorses. I think they're the most amazing little creatures, and they're so cool to watch. Let me know what you think.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season lives out.
For this DIY from Dollar Tree in the Coastal Pics, this one's an octopus, which I thought was also very cute. We're going to go very rustic on this one. I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to take some more of that thin jute. And what I'm going to do is just start painting the frame around, but I'm going to use it as a stain on the frame. So I'm going to be painting some on and then taking a paper towel and wiping it back. That way you can still see the wood grain through it and it's not quite as dark. And I like that look. It just gives it a little bit more dimension. You can see that right there, how you can start seeing the wood grain when you wipe that back. I'll do that for the whole frame. And I also did the beads on top. I thought that looked really cool on this one. Now I'm just going to very lightly paint the antique wax with a wet brush, and there you go. I did the octopus in the same thing. I'm going to take the jute and I'm just going to line it on the inside of the frame just to kind of tie all of my pieces together to give them that kind of finished coastal look with either jute or nautical rope. And this one was super, super easy, very fast. I am going to paint in that inside the white Waverly wax because I did overpaint a little bit on the octopus, and I thought, okay, let's do that again, and that will just kind of make the octopus stand out a teeny bit more. It's just slightly lighter than the wood, but barely. You can just see the wood right through it. I love using that Waverly white wax. I've noticed that a lot of people don't use it, and I'm just not sure if they don't know what to do with it. But it's basically like the antique wax, but you just do it with white, where you can paint it on, wipe it off, whatever you want. But I do like the look. Unfortunately, it wasn't fully dry when I took the picture, so you can still see some portions of it. But when it dries, you won't even notice it. Let me know what you think of this one. I've got another chip, and this is my favorite, sour cream and onion, yum. Anyway, I've got this toile, which somebody finally reminded me what it was called. It's a French type of a pattern, and this is contact paper that I got at the Dollar Tree. I've used this before. And I'm going to cut a piece that's big enough to cover the can, and I'm basically just going to start rolling it onto the can. Right now I'm just making sure and cutting it even a little bit smaller so I don't have too much excess to work with. The first thing I need to do is paint this can in the plaster color, because otherwise you're going to see that pattern. I did kind of hold it up and check. If your paper or whatever you're using, if it's like scrapbook paper, you might not see it, but this contact paper is very thin. So I'm just going to start peeling back the backing just a little bit at a time. And on this, I recommend you leave excess on both sides. It's too hard to line up, and once it sticks, you can't remove it and move it around. So I went ahead and got it on the whole thing, and I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm going to use a little blade. And once I cut into it, I'll just lean the blade up against the edge of that end, and it makes a very nice clean cut. You just go real gentle. And I'm just kind of pushing it on, making sure there's no bubbles. And of course, now what I need to do is cut some holes. I'm going to make like kind of funny shaped holes. They're going to be almost like smiles, if you will. So a curve on the bottom and kind of flat on the top. At least that's what I was aiming for. And what we're going to do is make a cute little planter where the plants are kind of falling out of it. So I made I made 4 holes. I'm going to put in the bottom some plastic bags because I need to fill it up. And now I'm just kind of placing things to see how I think it's going to look. I'm cutting up these little boxwood pics that I got from Dollar Tree. And then I've got some other ones too that I got at different places. So I'm going to put them in the different holes. I'm going to put some more bags in because I'm trying to fill in so they don't fall off or fall in. I'm going to put some really pretty other greenery on the top. Now I'm going to take each one out and I'm going to backfill it with some moss because I want to make sure that you can't see the bags on the inside. I want it to almost look like it's just kind of like flowing out. I think it's such a pretty look. I've seen planters like this, and I thought, why can't we make one out of a little chip can? Anyway, this is very lush looking. I love the green against that black and white toile. I think that's a beautiful combination. You could use any pattern, contact paper or scrapbook paper, whatever that you like. So let me know what you think. I was really happy with this one. I think it's so beautiful. I hope you like it.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season.
Dollar Tree floating shelf craft. I'm going to take one of the floating shelves, a little bit of floral foam, and some beautiful greenery and flower picks. Some are from Walmart and some are from, actually, these are all from the Dollar Tree. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm going to start pulling some of the flowers off the picks eventually, but first, what I'm going to do is cut a piece of the floral foam. I want like a, kind of like a moon shaped, if you will. That's what I think will work the best. So I've cut off a piece, but it's still a little big, so I am going to trim it down just a bit because we don't need a ton of it, just enough to put the florals and greenery in. Now that I've got the piece that I want, I'm going to hot glue it right onto the top of the floating shelf, and I'm going to put the curved part towards the front. Now I'm going to trim a bunch of pieces off the picks, and I'm going to start placing them right inside of this floral foam. I'll just stick them in, kind of the greenery all the way around. I want to make sure that kind of covers most of it, and then I'm going to use the florals more to fill in some of the gaps, and I think that'll be just a beautiful mixture. So there you see I've got all of the greenery in. Now I am going to hot glue down the ones in the back because if this is hanging on the wall, I don't want those pieces sticking towards the wall. So now I'm going to take the floral pieces and I'm going to do a similar thing where I just stick them in and try to fill in the gaps. And I want this to be a little higher than the others, so this gives it just a little bit more height, makes it look more interesting, I think. Isn't that pretty? Now I still need to fill in some more because you can still see the white. So I'm going to get another kind of greenery that I also got from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to mix those in. And the goal here is to cover up the floral foam. Now I think using green floral foam would have been a great idea because you wouldn't even see it. But I had white, and so you can still make it work. And you can also cover it with moss if you want. I had enough greenery that I knew I could do it. And I wanted it very full and lush. And I think this piece is just gorgeous. It looks so nice, and just what a nice thing to have floating on the wall as a decor piece. I think this craft is gorgeous. I'm going to fluff the greenery just to kind of make sure it's distributed the way I want and aren't just random pieces sticking up. And that's the fun part of doing, floral arrangements. You can make them look any way that you want. And I think this one just came out stunning. You'll have to let me know what you think.
Baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season lives outside of status quo.
Lamp DIY. I'm going to take this beautiful wired lamp. It's from the Dollar Tree Plus section. It's $5. And then I've got this wired plant hanger, and that's in the regular Dollar Tree section. First thing here, I'm going to take off the hanger, and it just comes off very easily. I'm going to take off the 3 pieces. Now I've got the other piece, and of course, like a lot of Dollar Tree items, it's not even, it's crooked, and you can't even bend it back. What are you going to do? So we're just going to go with it. I think this is still going to come out cute. I'm going to place it over the top, and I'm going to pull the handle of the solar lamp through that hole at the top. Now, I do realize that the best thing would be for me to just take that off for right now. So I'm going to use my nippers, pull apart the wires a little bit, and just take it off. It didn't require much strength at all. Now I can set the plant hanger on top upside down, and that's going to make like our lampshade, if you will. Now I'm going to pull off these 2 pieces. Now I decided that I really don't need them because when I put the hanger back on, I will use that to connect them. All right, I'm going to take that plant hanger upside down, and I'm going to put it on top of the solar lamp, and then I'm going to take the little handle from the solar lamp, and I'm going to attach that right through the plant hanger and onto the solar lamp itself. I'll use my nippers to bend those wires back, and that will become the hanger and the handle all in one, and that's how I'm going to attach them. Now I am going to add a little bit of hot glue just to secure it even more so it doesn't wobble around even a little bit. Now it would, because it's just on there with the wires. It's not soldered on or anything. So there you go, just adding a little glue. You won't even see it. Now I'm going to take these beautiful flowers. I do believe I got these from the Dollar Tree quite a long time ago. And you can find any flowers you want. The kind that drape down are probably the best for this project because then you don't have to put as many of them. So I've got them all the way around. Now I'm going to take the leaves that came with it, and I'm going to attach them with hot glue all over the top to cover up the rest of the wires and the stems. This is such an easy project because you could put any kind of greenery on here you want. If you wanted to do ferns or eucalyptus or boxwood, whatever you want, I decided to go with the flowers and the leaves. That's it. This one is done. Set it out in the sun. I left the solar panel available to be seen, and that way it'll light up in the evening. Isn't that just beautiful? You'll have to let me know what you think. For this solar lantern hack, I'm going to use another one of those $5 Dollar Tree Plus lanterns with the wire. I love them. And I'm going to use this beautiful off-white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. And then I've also got some pretty twine from Walmart. They have such a good price there. I'm going to prepare my rope by getting rid of the plastic on the ends. And because it's a 3-strand cord, I am going to separate it down to 1 strand. That's what I want to use for this. Otherwise, it would be extremely thick. I'm going to go to the bottom of the lantern, and I'm going to hot glue the end and start wrapping it around that circle at the very bottom. And I'll continue that, and every so often I'll drop a little bit of hot glue on there just to secure it, but you don't have to do it at every turn around. When I get to the end, I will just add some more hot glue and roll that over the top so that there aren't any little pieces left. Now I'm going to go up to the top of the lantern with that same white nautical rope, and I'm just going to glue it around, not twisting it, but just around that kind of circle at the top where the solar panel is. And now you can see I've got both. Now I'm going to take the twine from Walmart, and I'm going to go up and down each of the wires all the way around. Now, it did take a little bit of time. I probably went around 3 times and then added glue, and then 3 more times and added glue just to make it go faster. And I just put on a cute little crafting video and enjoyed myself, or listened to an audiobook, whatever you like. Do any of you listen to audiobooks? I've really been enjoying that. If you have any good recommendations, let me know. And when you run out, you just add another piece by putting it on and squishing it down so you don't see the end, and just continue to wrap. It's that easy. There it is, all wrapped. Now, I did decide to wrap the handle in the white nautical rope. I'm not sure if I should have, but I kind of thought it looked better if that was also wrapped in the rope. So you do whatever you want. I did go ahead and do that. I think that these solar lanterns are so cool to craft with. They are so flexible. Look how beautiful this is. It's very coastal looking. I really, really like it. It'll be fun to put outside on a patio, especially or by a pool. For this Dollar Tree $5 solar lantern, I'm going to do a thrift flip with it. So I've got this little ice bucket from the thrift store. It's super cool, very masculine with that. It was only $3. It's kind of got like the snakeskin on the side and the steel. I really love it. It's got a little part that's loose, so I'm going to take my hot glue and repair that. No big deal. So I thought if I turn this upside down, I will remove the tag and also get rid of the price that's on there. And actually the Goo Gone that I used after to get the sticky stuff on the tag off, removed the price on there. That worked out. Usually you have to use rubbing alcohol. Anyway, it's all cleaned up now and ready to go with the rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to attach that lantern right on top of the bottom. It just sits perfectly. I'm going to use a combination of Fix-All adhesive and hot glue. And literally, that worked so well. And it doesn't matter, you will not see the glue when we're done, so you can put as much as you want. You can just like go crazy with the glue so you feel like it's very secure. So there we are, attaching it. And I'm going to let it sit for a little while because I want to make sure that that glue is very solid, especially the hot glue. I'm even going to add some over the top just to kind of seal it in even more. Now we're going to take some greenery that I actually got at Walmart, and it's boxwood, and it was such a good price. So I'm going to pull off the little pics, and I'm going to start hot gluing them all the way around where that circle is from the bottom of the lantern where all the glue is. And I'm going to cover all of the glue with the leaves. And you'll see what I'm doing here. That way you will not see any of the glue. There I am, almost done with the whole thing. And then I'm going to finish it. And then I'm going to put some in that center too to make sure I've covered all the little glue areas. It was such a nice way to cover the glue, but also make this more decorative. I think this one is beautiful. It's a little bit more kind of formal looking compared to some of the other ones, but I think that's fun because it just depends on your space. So if you have a little bit more of a modern space or just a little bit more upscale looking, this would be a really nice look for you if you could find a little ice bucket, or even like a vase could work like this, a kind of a flatter vase. Anyway, I love the way this one turned out. I think it's beautiful. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree solar lantern DIY, I've got another one of those $5 solar lanterns, and I've got these two beach ball drinking kind of plastic drinking cups. And I thought this would be so cute for around the pool because, you know, it's not really something you have to worry too much about. I'm going to actually attach two of these beach balls together on the two bottoms, and I'll just kind of turn them so that the right colors are showing the way that I think it looks the best. And I'm going to do Fix-All and hot glue and wait for that to set up. Then I'm going to take some masking tape and I'm going to cover that solar panel. I don't want anything to happen to it while I'm painting this because we are going to spray paint this one with the white Rust-Oleum paint, and I just want to make sure that I don't ruin it. Also, the light bulb, I needed to do that. So I took the bottom of a Dollar Tree shopping bag and I pulled the light bulb out. There's a little piece that goes in it that hangs down. So what you have to do is get your light bulb fully covered by the plastic and then put that piece that's hanging down, it's like a fairy light almost, put that back inside and then roll up your plastic bag so it goes into the light bulb, and then you can screw it back on once you get rid of the lumps. I probably had too much hanging over. I could have used a slightly smaller piece, but I hadn't done this before, so this is how I figured it out. You can screw it back on and that completely protects your light bulb without going to the trouble of using tons of masking tape, and this worked out so well. So I'm going to take it outside and spray it several times with many coats to make sure it's covered, and there it is. So now we can remove the tape and you can see that the solar panel was preserved, and in one moment here you will see the light bulb is perfectly clean. Now didn't that just work out nicely? I'll replace the little fairy light string right back in and screw in the light bulb. So now that is all prepared. We are going to attach it to the top of the stacked beach balls that were the little drinking cups. And we're going to use Fix-All and hot glue. And this one took a little doing to hold it in place while the hot glue was setting up. So just keep that in mind because it's a round surface and it wants to kind of roll around. So I sat there and held it for quite a while. Now to cover up the glue, I'm going to take some of this thicker nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put one row of it around the inside and one row around the outside of that seam. That way it covers all of the glue and it adds to that coastal look. And I thought this came out really cute. Now you could use the off-white coastal rope if you wanted as well. Now I've got this white and green baker's twine that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put it in the seam of the two pieces of rope so that you don't see that. And one of the colors on the beach balls is that same green. So I just put that all the way around. This was super easy. Now, I did decide that with that hole in the top, I wanted to add something. So I took a succulent that matched, and I pulled off some of the pieces of the leaf so it wasn't quite as large, and I glued them in so it fit perfectly, and look at that. Now we have a cute little coastal, beachy kind of a solar light to put in your backyard. You can put it around the pool, or even if you don't have a pool and you just go in for that theme, there you go. I found this adorable grow magnet. I've got a piece left over from a Dollar General decor piece. It had a little chicken on it. And then I've got these eucalyptus plants faux plants that I got from Amazon. I'm going to take out the magnet, and we're not going to actually use it as a magnet this time. We're just going to attach it to the front of that adorable chicken wire sign. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to turn it over, place it right in the center where I want it, and then I'm going to start adding a ton of hot glue, and then I'll wait for it to dry. I'm also going to press down to make sure that it's making really good contact. And you'll see here I'm putting it at almost every possible intersection that there is back there. And now I'm pressing down just to make sure that it is really firmly attached to the back of that magnet. Now I'm going to pull apart little pieces from the eucalyptus pick, and I'm just going to put like 3 on each side poking out from the back, and that you'll be able to see, like I come around the front, I attach it to the back so that it's not covering up the magnet, but it looks like it's coming from behind it, if that makes sense. And I did do 3 on each side, and then I took a little piece of white paper and covered up the back. I think this one is so cute. What I'm going to do to make sure that the little picks lay where I want them is I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue behind one of the little leaves on each of the corner pieces and just push those down, and that way they kind of go up into the corners. And I just think that gives it a little better coverage. Otherwise it looks like they're just like whiskers coming out straight from the sides, and now they look like more distributed whiskers, I guess. Anyway, I think it looks super cute. So I like the way this has turned out. This is so easy. These magnet hacks are fast and easy. You can do these in no time at all. You'll have to let me know what you think. House DIY. I got this kind of shorter house. Got these 2 little pegs I got at Hobby Lobby on sale. They look like little people. And then I've got this kind of 3D decal sticker from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to pull off the top portion of it. I don't really need it to be fully 3D, but I am going to keep that little piece of foam tape on the back and just hot glue it to the very top center of the house. We're going to turn this into a little bit of a coastal kind of a DIY. So I'm going to make one of the little people shorter. So basically that's me. And then the taller one is my husband, because I want to make these 2 little people. This would be like representing my house. So you could do this however you want, depending on who's in your house. And I'm just going to hot glue each of the little pegs, or old-fashioned clothespins, whatever you want to call them, into the inside, like when you're facing it, the left side of the house. Now I'm going to take this blue and white twine that I got, I believe at Dollar Tree, and make a teeny little bow and put it on me so that we know like that is the female and then the other one is the male. I'm going to start off using hot glue. This didn't work out very well, but I'm going to show you. I tried to put these little white rocks from the Dollar Tree down. Anyway, it really wasn't working. It kept drying too fast. So instead, I used my Aleene's tacky glue and just coated it really well over the whole thing, and then just kept putting rocks in there, pressing them down, adding rocks, pressing them down, and then I tapped the rocks away. If there was a gap, I'd fill it in and so forth. You get the picture. Anyway, now I'm going to attach this beautiful seashell from the Dollar Tree and a couple pieces of greenery These came off of a eucalyptus pick that I got on Amazon, but you could get things like this at Dollar Tree, Walmart, wherever they sell, faux greenery. I think it looks so cute. I'm really loving how this one turned out. You'll have to let me know what you think. I feel like it was so easy, and yet it's got the coastal vibe, but it's still homey, and I just think it's adorable. Hope you like it too.
Has a reason, baby, let it come to you.
House hack. I got the taller house, and then I've got this chicken wire frame that was left over from a piece from Dollar General. I've got some lemons and lemon slices that I picked up at various places. And then I've also got some eucalyptus picks and 4 beads that I got from Amazon that I'm going to use as feet. I'm going to paint this with this off-white paint that I have. You can use any off-white paint you want. I'm going to go very carefully because I don't want to tape the inside. And this is going to take me 2 coats to get the entire thing painted on the inside only. Now that that's done, I'm going to take my Maze Waverly Color chalk paint. I'm just going to paint that very top edge around the whole house, and then off camera, I will do the back side as well. I'm going to remove that tag using my heat tool. That really helps to remove those little tags that are on there with kind of the sticky stuff. And then, like I said, I'll paint the back with the maze color as well. Next, I'm going to take these lemons, and I'm going to use 3 of them. Odd numbers are usually the best in decor pieces, unless you're going for a very symmetrical look, of course. And I put a lot of hot glue, and they are going to stay on there really well. They're not super heavy. And then I'm going to take these lemon slices and kind of position them above that. I thought this would look so cute in a kitchen. My mom likes lemons for decor in the kitchen, so I'm going to give this one to her. I'm going to add those little picks from the eucalyptus plant, and I'm just going to stick them in there just to kind of give a little bit of greenery. I love greenery. Just, I don't know, makes everything feel fresh, and I tend to kill plants, so when I use the faux ones, that's good. I can't kill those. I'm going to take the 4 little beads, and I'm going to hot glue them to the bottom as legs just to give it a little bit of a different look. I love the way that looks. I decided not to paint them. Felt like there was enough yellow there already. Well, let me know what you think. How would you have done it? Would you have done the whole house white? Would you have added the yellow? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one.
Every change has a reason, baby, let it come to you.
Crate hack. I've got this crate, and it's got some really cute little, like almost seashell shaped designs. And I'm going to take this truck. It was from the fall from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my antique wax, and I'm going to paint that all over this entire crate. Now I'm going to use it as a stain, so I'll paint it on, and then I will wipe it off with a paper towel so it's not quite as dark. And you can still see the little bit of wood grain, and I'll do the whole thing. Now that that's done, I'm going to take a straight edge and a black marker, and I'm going to draw 2 little lines and fill them in. I want it to look like slats. It's going to look like the back of a truck, the truck bed. And so I want it to look like it's made out of wood and it's got slats in it. And I'm going to do that around the sides as well. Now I'm going to remove the hanger on here and take off that metal leaf because obviously it's not fall. We don't need that. And then we're going to paint the front side with this white paint. It's kind of an off-white. Cover the truck, and then we'll do the wheels in the black paint. Then I'm going to take a black marker and kind of draw the outline of parts of the truck that you want to see. And then I'm going to take my steel Waverly paint, and with like a stenciling type brush, I'm going to dab it on so it's not a solid painted color. I just want it to kind of have that metallic look a little bit, galvanized look. I'll do the bumper as well. Then I'm going to take some silver metallic paint that I have, and I'm going to paint the 2 mirrors on there with a regular paintbrush and just do a couple coats to get them to look more silver like a mirror. Then I'm going to touch up a little bit of the white on the inside of the window and where the license plate's going to go on the bottom. I'm going to take a red marker and I'm going to make 2 lights, 1 on each side. I wanted to give it a little more character and just make it look a little bit more like a real truck. I used the white chalk marker to make the other lights up above the red lights. I wanted to write Farm Fresh on the license plate, so I tried this yellow and it just didn't work. So then I used a little bit of a brown marker and I still wasn't thrilled, so I went over it with a black marker. I should have just started with a black marker to begin with. You know what? live and learn. It's okay. You know, sometimes you just have to adjust as you go. I'm going to add the hanger back minus that leaf that I had taken off. And I'm going to use a combination of Fix All adhesive and hot glue to attach what will be the bed of the truck onto the back of the truck is what we're looking at. And I love it. I love this look. It'll be so cute hanging up. You can add floral foam. You can add flowers. I'm going to add the foam and some lemons and some lavender. I love lemons and lavender together. I think it's just a gorgeous combination, and I love it for summer. I placed the lemons at different heights. They're slightly different sizes. And then I'm going to add the greenery in there as well. I just want it to look like it was all kind of thrown in to the bed of the truck. And I realized that one lemon is ginormous. I realized that. Then adding in that lavender, and to me, that just finishes it off, and I love it. And I've got this hanging in my house already. That's how much I like it. And I am so excited about it because I just think it makes me happy every time I see it. You'll have to let me know what you think. Do you love this idea about putting like a crate on the back of a little truck cutout from Dollar Tree? I think it's adorable. Let me know what you think. For this Dollar Tree crate hack, I've got another one of these really pretty crates. I love all the different designs they have now. I'm going to take off the label, and then I'm going to be painting this one using that white off-white paint that I have. I'm going to paint the entire thing. And I did paint the inside as well on this one. Now, again, we're going to use the back side. That pattern isn't really my style. I'm going to take a pencil and a straight edge, and I'm going to draw 2 lines and then kind of smear them with my finger, make it look like shiplap. It's a really easy way to do that. And then, of course, I will continue those lines around the sides as well. Now, this can become a 2-sided crate because of the way that I'm doing it. You'll see here in a moment. You don't even have to get your fingers wet to do this. I used to think that it just makes it too messy. So just your own natural skin will just be, enough. I'm going to cut some lavender, and I'm going to wrap them together like a little swag. So I'm just going to kind of fix the leaves on them, and then I'm going to tie them together with a little bit of jute. I'm going to add a drop of hot glue to each end first, just to see if I can get them to stay in place, and then get the jute there and start wrapping it around. And I'm just going to wrap it around several times, tie a knot here and there, just to get it so that it's nice and thick. And that's the part that I will use to glue directly onto this crate. That'll make it much easier for it to stay. So I'll end it with a knot and then cut off the excess. I'm going to go ahead and put the hot glue where the knot was and place it right in the center of that crate. And that's it. So you could do both sides, one with the design, one with the lavender, whatever you want. And then I'm going to keep it in the bathroom and put a couple of my hair products that I like to use in there. For this Dollar Tree crate hack, I've got this crate that has like a design that reminded me of a honeycomb. And then I've also got this cutout from Dollar Tree that's like bees on a beehive. I'm going to use the fawn colored Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the entire crate. This is just, I think, a really complimentary color for a bee themed project. And you'll see what I mean as we go forward here. Now I'm going to paint with my maize colored the beehive part itself and part of the bees. And I'll also use some white and black to finish up the bees. This was fun to paint. I really enjoyed this. I did paint the back, as you're going to see that as well. So then I'm going to make the wings in the white, and then I'll do a combination of black and the yellow on the actual bee's body. And I'll do those parts with the yellow and the black kind of as like the stripes you would expect on a bee. Isn't that cute? I love it. I'm going to take a black marker and just kind of give it a little more definition by outlining the little wings. I'm going to take my heat tool and just dry that off because markers can smear a little, so I want to be careful. I'm going to put a generous amount of hot glue and put the bottom corner of that beehive on the inside of the back of the little crate so it stands up. And then I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to put one piece starting in the back all the way around the front, just so it lands right at the top of those little cutout designs in the front of the crate. And then I'll do another piece around the bottom of where those little designs end. I just thought that really looked cute to add that on. Of course, it's optional, whatever you want to do. And when I get to the back, I will just attach it and glue that down. And I'm just going to style this in my kitchen with my honey, of course. I think that's the perfect thing to do with this. You'll have to let me know what you think. It's adorable. I absolutely love this one.
Has a reason, baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season.
For this Dollar Tree crate hack, I've got this crate that has kind of like a boho design on it. And then I've got this little house that I got at Dollar General. It was only $1. I'm going to take my Fern Waverly chalk paint and I'm going to paint my crate that color. I love this color. It's beautiful. And it's especially my favorite for spring and summertime. This is going to have a little more of a boho theme. I'm going to paint the front of the house in that white off-white paint that I have. It'll take a couple coats to cover it. Then I'm going to take this pink, it's Ballet Slipper by Waverly, and I'm going to paint over the white. I just wanted the white to cover up the words and things that were on there. So the actual color I'm using is the pink. Once I get that on there, I'm going to take a stippling brush and again, that white paint and very lightly just kind of stipple the white over it. I wanted it to have a little bit of a like not solid pink look, a little more of a textured feel to it, if you will. And I thought this would be an easy way to create that. Then I'm going to add a little bit to the roof. I don't want it to be quite so shiny with that metal there. So the white will kind of dull it down when I stipple over the top of it. I'm going to go ahead and take that white and do it all around the sides because I'm not fond of the MDF paint showing there. So I thought I should just cover that up and then it would just blend a little bit nicer, particularly around the roof there. And then I thought, you know what, I should just do the whole thing. So I'm going to take the white and put it all the way around the edges of the entire house. And I think that actually does make it look much better now. To take the house, which I did paint the back of it green so it matched the crate, I'm going to put a lot of hot glue on the inside back, and I'm going to attach the house right in there. And then I'm going to take a bunch of succulents that I got from Dollar Tree and some moss that I also got from the Dollar Tree, reindeer moss. And I'm going to put the moss on the inside of the crate, and then I'm going to hot glue the little succulents in. I want it to have, like I said, that kind of boho succulent look. I think that's just so cute. And I just want to show you another way you could use these Dollar Tree crates. I think that they're so versatile and there's so many different things you can do with them. The succulents are too big. If you just pull off some of the back leaves, it'll make it smaller. So I realized this was deeper than the amount of the reindeer moss I had. So I added a plastic bag first. That kind of fills the space. And then I put the moss in around the succulents, and that ended up just being the perfect way to fill it up without having to literally fill up the whole thing. And I added a third succulent because I thought that would look really cute. And that was all there really was to this one. It was so easy. You'll have to let me know what you think. And I think this could look cute anywhere in your home. And you could just style it with anything. It's like having more plants in the house. I really love this. Very easy to make.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you.
Dollar Tree foam wreath form. We're going to take an old pair of jeans. These were my husband's and I made him give them to me. I know we usually donate them, but I wanted to make a craft. So I'm going to cut off that, hem at the very bottom, and I'm just going to go up the leg and start cutting little strips. You can make them as wide as you want. I think mine were probably about an inch or so. And I just cut as many as it would take to get around the whole thing. Now, the next thing I did, though, is I cut off that seam. I'm just going to tie it around and make a knot. That is it. And then I'm going to pull it forward so the knot's kind of around the outside of the wreath form. I am literally going to do that all the way around. Make sure I'm covering all of the green foam. If you need to cut more once you've done that, because they do shrink up a little bit as you tie them, do what you need to until you get enough to go all the way around. Or if you want, you could do wider strips, totally your choice. I like the look at the end with the 1-inch strips. Again, personal preference. There's no right or wrong way to do it. If you hear wind chimes, dogs barking, or wind, I am sitting out on a 3-season porch at my sister-in-law's house in North Carolina, so excuse the extra noises, but I wanted to get this video ready. Here I am, just over halfway around. And this is the whole thing. Now, obviously, the ends are way too long, so we're just going to go around and trim them, and you can make them as long as you want. I did have to make some adjustments because, you get around to the other side, and it's longer than you thought it was. I'm going to take these beautiful flowers. These larger ones I got from Amazon, and they're stunning. They're peonies. They're my favorite ones I've ever found so far. Very reasonable price, too. Anyway, I'm going to trim down the leaves and the stems, but I'm going to stop and add that hanger because you know me, I often forget to do it. So I'm just going to do kind of like a lark's head knot to pull it around the wreath form. You won't even notice it because I'll put the flower over it, tie a little knot at the top, trim off the excess, and now we've got our hanger. So now I'm going to put a good amount of hot glue there, and I'm going to add the leaves first. I like to do the pieces separately. That way I know it won't fall off, and then add that flower right in the center. And then I've got this other little bouquet that I think I got at Dollar Tree a long time ago. I'm going to pull off some little pieces with the little flowers. I'm going to put a few on each side. I do like to pull it out. I don't want just the one flower. I do like that look of bunches. And then, of course, I've got this, I think they're eucalyptus from Amazon store, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut some pieces of that off and put them on either side. Honestly, that's all there was to this one. You could add more, you could do less, whatever you like. But I love the look of the jeans. I think it's so pretty. Have you guys ever used jeans to craft? Because I've got these jeans, I think I'm going to add a few in here and there, on my channel with some jeans just to show you what you could do, like a trash to treasure. Anyway, I hope you like them. For this Dollar Tree foam round wreath form, I'm going to use these beautiful kind of coastal themed napkins, and then this ribbon I got. Oh my gosh, it was so cheap, 89 cents. It's a lot of ribbon. And then I've got some more, and that was all from Hobby Lobby. They do have great ribbon when they're on sale. It's a great deal. And then I've got sand dollars and a starfish from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the plies on the napkins. So what you do is take a piece of tape on the back, and then it makes it really easy to just pull it apart. And this one is a 3-ply, and this one, it kind of pulled apart when I did the first one. I'm literally just going to cut strips. Again, you could do this any way you want. I did find that strips were a nice, easy way to get the wreath covered, and I'm going to use Mod Podge to get it on there. So I'll put Mod Podge on first, and then do pieces of the napkin, and then add Mod Podge over the top. But I'm going to do the top part after, because otherwise my hands are going to get super sticky and it's going to pull the napkin off. So I'm going to try to keep my hands as dry as possible, wiping them in between, and then use my brush to try to help lay down the napkin. See what I'm doing there? That way I don't have to get my fingers super sticky. You really can't use a brayer on a round piece like this. I like that the green showed through a little because it kind of goes with that beachy color scheme. So this worked out. Otherwise, I would have painted the wreath form white first. There it is, all decoupaged. I've got this blue and white twine. I think I got that at Dollar Tree too. I'm going to do a lark's head knot for a hanger, pull it through, tie a knot at the top, and then just cut off the excess. And that way our knot is done and we don't have to forget about our hanger. I'm going to take this Fix-All adhesive and a combination of hot glue, and I'm going to put the starfish and the sand dollars on there. I just want to put it all on one side. Again, this is personal preference. You could decorate this wreath all the way around if you want, whatever you like. So when you buy things like rocks and marbles at Dollar Tree, it comes in this kind of netted plastic stuff. I save it. And come on, all of us crafters, we save everything, right? Well, guess what? I knew I'd use it. And doesn't it look like kind of fish netting? And I just glued it on around the back and put it over the starfish and the sand dollar. And I think that adds the coolest summer coastal look. I love it. Anyway, just a little tip there, something you can do with those plastic netted containers. I'm going to take this ribbon and I'm just going to fold it over a bunch of times, twice as many times as you want loops. That's how you do it. And so whatever you want, I think I did it like 4 times or 3 times. So I'd have 2 or 3 loops on each side. Then I'm going to cut it. Now I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to measure out like a tail size. I'm going to hold it up to my wreath and then hot glue it. And that way I don't have to worry about creating a tail out of my bow. I'm not as good at that. So if I do the tail separately, it just makes my life so much easier. And then I'm going to go and dovetail the ends. Just fold them in half and cut a little triangle upward. Now I'm going to take a piece of twine, go right in the center of this, ribbon that I folded in half, tie it really tight, and I'm going to start pulling out the loops. You've got to use wired ribbon for this because you can shape them. If it's not wired ribbon, it doesn't hold its shape as well. So if you do that, I'd recommend smaller, much narrower, smaller ribbon. Anyway, it's starting to look really cute. And just you're going to fuss with this forever. And then I found this ribbon at Hobby Lobby that has little pom-poms on it. I'm going to wrap it around a bunch of times until the pom-poms cover the front. Cut it off, glue it on, and there's the center of my ribbon. I thought it was so pretty, the white to match the starfish and the sand dollar. That's it for this one. You could add more, have less, whatever you want. I think it turned out stunning. Oh my gosh. Even though I put seashells on the side, I could have put them on the wreath. So it's up to you, but I think the colors are gorgeous. This Dollar Tree round foam wreath hack, I'm going to use just part of it. It's actually left over from the previous one that I did. I'm going to make a hole on each side, just using my little Cricut pokey tool. You can use anything, a screwdriver, whatever you want to stick those holes. And I'm going to take some twine, or actually kind of like small rope, and I'm going to stab it in there with hot glue with my pokey tool. I want to get it in pretty good because I want this to be the hanger and I want it to be solid. I add some more glue in the hole just to really seal it in there. Now I'm going to put Aleene's tacky glue. I like tacky glue for this because hot glue, you can't touch it when you're putting on moss. I've got reindeer moss. I did get the moss, I believe, at Walmart. You can also get them at Dollar Tree and Amazon and all these places. So I want to be able to just push it on and make sure it's attached. There it is, the whole thing. So that's why I don't use hot glue for this. So now the whole thing is covered. I think that looks so cool. Obviously, we're not going to leave it like this. I'm going to be getting some beautiful flowers that I found at Dollar Tree. I couldn't believe they had these gorgeous roses. I don't remember ever seeing roses that look this pretty at Dollar Tree, so I grabbed a bunch. And I'm just going to pull them off the pick and hot glue them right into this little wreath form that I cut. And then I'm going to add these little white flowers that you see on the side above and below. And it almost has like kind of a bouquet look, but it's a little hanging piece. And it's just a little semicircle, not even a half circle. I just thought it was really pretty and unique. Have you ever done anything this particular shape? And I would just continue adding all of the white flowers. And I did decide to put them at the top, not just the bottom. I thought it looked even better. I think it's stunning. I love it. You could attach this to something else, hang it below it. You know, by itself, it's good. You'll have to let me know what you think. It was a little bit different, but very easy to make. Last trivet hack, I've got a round trivet, got some different colored rocks from the Dollar Tree and marbles. I've got some starfish and sand dollars, some seashells, and some other rocks. So this is going to be kind of a beachy theme. And I want to show you the little legs on the bottom. On this one, we're going to keep them. So I'm going to start by putting the kind of beige colored marbles on and the white. We're going to start with like the sand on the bottom. I'm creating like a beach scene. And then after we get that on, we'll add some of the white, and then we'll put the clear, and we're moving towards like the ocean water. So it's like sand, foam, sea, if you will. So we'll kind of add the clear ones in, and then we'll add some turquoise looking ones, and then we'll add some darker blue ones, and then we'll add a little bit of green just to show like different colors of the waters. So there it is. I think it's beautiful already. And we've got all these little gaps between them. So we're going to put the little white rocks in between on the bottom there. I'm just going to fill each of the gaps with the Aleene's tacky glue and then pour the rocks over and kind of push them down. It'll take a little bit to dry, but it does dry and it comes out just gorgeous. So here we are, just pouring the rocks on, rubbing them down. And of course, a lot of them will fall off, and that's okay. Then I'll put them back on in the spots where I still see glue and just keep repeating that until I get all of the little holes filled in with the rocks. And then I'll tip it on its side and kind of let the excess ones fall off. And then that way we'll make sure if I see any holes that I need to fill in. I'm going to take the blue ones and do the same thing with the upper part. So there it is. They're all finished now. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, what a nice way to fill them in. So I'm going to take one of the starfish I decided I'm not going to use a sand dollar on this one. I had them both out just in case. But we're going to attach a starfish. We're going to pick a seashell or two that I really like, that I think will be really pretty on here, and attach those towards the sand. I just wanted to add a little extra, accent to it and give it more of that beachy look. Some of you know, because I've mentioned it before, but my bedroom is decorated in a coastal theme. So this will end up in there. But I love that theme. I don't want my whole house to be like that, but I just love having one room, and especially the bedroom keeps it very peaceful. So these are all just going to get hot glued on with a lot of hot glue to make sure they're very secure. And of course you can use E6000 or super glue, whatever you want. I think this one has turned out gorgeous. It might be my favorite today. You have to let me know what you think. It was actually very easy and quick to make because it just lays flat, so the glue will just dry as you're going. So let me know what you think. Glass trivet hack. I'm going to use a round trivet, and then I've got this calendar. It came in the mail. You could use a Dollar Tree calendar, any calendar you want, just when you find a picture that you really like. I'm going to use my little spatula and remove the little feet. They come off so easily. I'm going to use my Goo Gone and alcohol to clean up the sticky stuff and then the kind of greasiness from the Goo Gone. Now I'm going to pick the picture in the calendar pages that I want. I'm going to kind of see where I'm going to need to cut it. I'm going to pull out that piece, tear it out, and then I'm just going to place my round glass trivet over the top and trace around that so I know where to cut. I thought this picture was gorgeous, so spring-like, and honestly could even go into the summer. Now I just cut that out, and then I'm going to get my Mod Podge, and I'm going to be putting this face down on the back side, like where we took the feet off. And I'll do it in sections like I usually do, and I'll just add my Mod Podge and then lay down that piece that I have there that's already on the side. And then I'll lift it up and put some more Mod Podge and then lay down the rest of it. It just works so much better if you do it in smaller sections than if you just try to lay the whole thing. I feel like I just get a better placement. So now I'm just going to use my brayer to flatten that all out. Now, because there is calendar page on the backside, you might see it. So I'm going to take this truffle colored, it's like a brown paint, and I'm going to paint the back dark. When you paint the back dark, when the lettering is dark, then you get rid of it essentially, because right now you may not be able to see it, but I could see through it. So I'm just going to paint that whole thing, just one coat, and that'll take care of the whole problem. I mean, the letters are black, but brown works just fine, so you could paint it black if you wanted, but you don't have to. All right, once I get all the paint on, I'll dry it off, and then I'm going to put a coat of Mod Podge to seal it over the back. And then once I dry that off, that part is done. And now you can see from the other side, it doesn't change the color, but it gets rid of what you could have seen of the calendar. I'm going to go around the edges with my scissors and cut off any excess of the paper. Now I'm going to use my Fix All glue adhesive and put the little feet back on to the back. You could add a hanger to this one, or you could leave it as something that you lay flat where you set things. I think it's gorgeous. I love this. I love purple. It's my favorite color. And I love the little like birdhouse lantern looking thing. I think this is a gorgeous page, but the possibilities are endless.